Hello and welcome to Infamous, the audio podcast. This is Brandon, or Mutalis on Discord.
This is Parker, go by One Who Parks on Discord.
This is Jeremy, still going by Jeremy on the Discords.
And this is Aaron. I go by Treffenwood.
And we're back. Parker, you have 1,262 more episodes of probation.
What an idiot.
I mean,
You can't tell right now, listeners, but I'm doing my probationary episodes going down dance. It's pretty good.
So I was honestly surprised you didn't bet more on our Beta Ray Bill bet, because you're like, all right, I want to get this number down, and so you only bet like 100 episodes. I was expecting 500. Like, I was like, we might as well just pull the Band-Aid off. It's going to be real bad or good. There's no point going off like 100 at a time.
No, I like the idea of slow chipping away. I'm in this for the long haul.
Yeah.
You got to double it, and then you double that. Then you double
it's like
that.
If you see the trend, and he's like, it's going to turn around, guys. Like the trend over 2 years.
I just met with a retirement advisor. You look at the long trend. You don't
compounded
you ignore
interest.
the up and downs. Yeah, ignore the up and downs. Look at the general trend.
All right.
We should talk afterwards, Parker.
I don't know if you're the guy to get advice from. You scare me sometimes.
I can tell you who not to get advice from.
Is it me?
It's you and others, yes.
Okay. All right. Parker, what we got next?
Got news.
News.
Hey,
News!
So, news today is Agent Venom. We have his card. One thing I'll just say before we talk about his card, his art is awesome from both the front and the back. I love it. The concept for this character is so fun. A Venom symbiote with guns in space. So cool. So we've got he's a 4-cost character. He's got 6 health on the front side and the back. He's identical on the front and the back. He's got 4 physical, 2 energy, 3 mystic defense. He's got 3 different attacks. His first one is Clintar Firepower. Range 4, 5 dice, gains power for damage, and a wild bleed. His second attack is Incendiary Grenade, which is a little bit different than all the other incendiary grenades in the game. There's now several, and this one is just slightly different. It's range 3 instead of everybody else who has range 4. 5 dice for 1 power, and after the attack is resolved, it automatically gains Incinerate, so you don't have to damage them for it. His big spender attack is Symbiote Special Forces. A beam 3, 7 dice for 4 power, which doesn't sound great at first until you read its effects. If you get a wild and a hit, after each attack is resolved, deal 1 damage to each enemy character within 2 of this character. The reason why I read it specifically is so you beam people every time you roll a dice. If when you roll those dice, you get a wild and a hit, everyone within 2 of that character gets 1, which might be the other characters of the beam 3. So you're doing a weird amount of stacking splash damage potentially to the character in the middle of your beam, for example. So if being 3 characters, the character in the middle could take the beam damage plus 2 if the other things proc, and then everybody else is getting splashed as well.
It is exactly identical to Rampage on Maximum Carnage. They're both wild hit, deal 1 damage to everyone within 2. So he basically has the special ability of Maximum Carnage. Mm-hmm. But his is a beam 3 instead of an AoE 2. Mm-hmm. They're both 7 dice as well.
Right.
So the damage is dealt to characters within 2 of him, not the target.
Oh, within 2 of this character? I read this character. Oh, it's him.
Yeah, because it's his ability, yeah.
Oh. Yeah. I thought this character was the targeted character.
Right. So you could hit somebody at the range of 3 with the beam, but they could never suffer the lashes damage.
Interesting.
But you could hit people behind you that you didn't beam with it. So, which is going to be relevant for the next ability he has.
Right. So, Symbiote Web Swing, he has the ability to place himself within 3 of his current position, the same as the other web swings for 2 power. Mm-hmm. He does have Blades power. This one's called Project Rebirth 2.0, but for 1 power, he could remove 1 special condition. Notably, that can happen before he activates to remove things like Stagger.
Technically, it is different because I believe Blade says you shake. I don't know if there's a difference. Well, actually, here's the difference. No, because all the ones that say you can't remove the effect don't say you can't shake it. They say you can't remove it.
Are you sure?
Does Blade say
Interesting.
shake?
No,
I thought
Blade
Blade
says
said-
this character immediately performs a shake action.
Yeah, so it's technically different. I don't know why it would be relevant though. I can't think of a reason.
Crystal. Enemy characters performing a shake action may not remove, incinerate, stun, or slow.
There you go. So it's actually worded that way. And
Scarlet Witch says the same thing if you perform a shake action.
Yeah.
Scarlet Witch says you can't remove hex, bleed, poison, I think. Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah. So
Agent Venom.
he can actually get past the hex field. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
He also has All-Star Quarterback. Is for 3 cost, he can throw terrain or enemy character both of size 3 or less within 2 short. He also has the same ability the regular Venom has, the symbiotic instincts. You can never modify your dice when he's attacking you. He is also a wall crawler. Oh, he's movement medium, not movement slow, and he's a small base. Size
He's
2.
very quick. All right. First impressions. Go.
Does he have the most things on the front of his card of any character?
A 4-pointer
2, 4,
probably.
6, 8. He has 8
Yes.
deals.
Yeah.
A lot of
I tell you-
That might actually be more than Malekith, but Malekiths are just so wordy that they take up more space.
Yeah, looking at this guy, like, look, man, that's a 4-pointer now. He's got all kinds of cool shit. I don't know that he's awesome, but he's got some cool shit.
He has the same amount of powers and attacks as Malekith. Well, at least the same amount of lines. I guess technically he has flight and immunity on the same line. So I'm a little sad he doesn't have board control. So because at first I thought, he doesn't have like point and click. I meant like the web line.
Uh-huh.
At first I was hoping it was gonna be like a combination of Amazing Spider-Man and Venom, and he feels more like an Amazing Spider-Man and Carnage mashup. I don't know. He doesn't do that much damage.
Does he just die?
Maybe. He doesn't have a lot of defense. So he's 4-2-3 with 6 on both sides. But, so the way I think you're supposed to play him is basically like a 4-point Hawkeye. You have a range 4 attack, you double tap somebody, and then place out of range or line of sight.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's not going to get attacked very often. And then because he can close the gap very easily back into almost point blank range, use his spender even if he wanted to. Like, he seems like he's going to be really hard to get a hold of.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the allusion to Hawkeye is really good, but one of the things we've always said is, man, wouldn't it be awesome if Hawkeye had a way to use all that power he ends up accumulating?
Oh, this guy doesn't have that problem.
Right. Like, he's going to be able to just blow people up if they just leave him
Yeah.
alone. He also can incinerate somewhere, as Hawkeye has to get the wild. He's going to get it a little bit more reliably if he spends a power, which he'll probably have. And then he can throw, too, like to finish somebody off. I think he feels like a real bread and butter kind of character, but the thing I like about him is he's not going to be outmaneuvered. He's not going to be you're not going to be having anything like really cool defensive tricks. He's just going to ignore your cover, X-Men. He's just going to ignore your rerolls, Spider-Man. You know, all your sticky characters that you hope are going to stick around because of that won't, because he'll just ignore that stuff like Venom does.
Symbiotic Instincts is a hugely underrated power in general. The ability to deny dice mods to an opponent. It's very strong. I don't think enough people really appreciate it.
It's +1 damage a lot.
It
like,
is +1
it
damage
happens
a lot.
a lot.
And on top of that, he has on a stick Incinerate, so he can point and click Incinerate and deny dice mods. He can get through the crunchy characters better than most people can, and he applies bleed. It's like he can effectively reduce hit points fairly well, but he doesn't do like the burst damage, right? Like that's my biggest problem. Mobility, utility in spades, but yeah, I don't know. He doesn't have the survivability. He doesn't have the burst damage. So a lot of quality of life stuff, though.
I would say I was really excited to see this kind of character in Guardians because this is a character Guardians doesn't have. A 4-cost character that can, like you just said, mobility and utility in Guardians is something Guardians doesn't have a lot of.
When you say in Guardians, you mean that he is affiliated with Guardians?
Yeah, pretty sure that was in his bio.
Was it?
It was.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, Guardians, Web Warriors,
Guardians
and
the Web Warriors.
There were 3 of them.
Huh. Yeah, I missed that.
And
Wow.
X-Force.
No, we know he's in Guardians.
Mm.
Yeah.
It was another weird one though.
I mean, he's definitely their best 4-point option. So,
yes.
like, it's not even close.
Right. And it lets you get away from one of the things I've noticed recently with the new scenarios is taking Nebulas and Honey Badgers is a little bit more risky when every activation is so important on some of these high extract missions, just making sure you can pick up shit and contest things. And so, maybe folding a Nebula away and putting in Agent Venom instead. I know it's going to be double her points, but now
because you were saying you were basically playing three twos in your roster,
right?
And so you're replacing 2 of the 2s with the Ancient Venom,
right?
Yeah.
Okay. Taking out Nebula and the other 2-pointer you might play besides Rocket to play Agent Venom is going to feel good. I think it's going to feel really good.
Yeah. So I mean, the playstyle that we were just referring to is not necessarily ideal for the new scenario play, I think, because the hit and run strategy doesn't really work. But the hit and hold a flank point works just fine, obviously. Like, he gets out of the thick of it. But also, he's really good at chasing down people that have extracts, like really good at that. And he's really good at putting pressure on the entire board. So even though he doesn't want to hold the middle, he can cross the table and get you off of a back point real easy.
Right. He'll be nice on. We have 3 different kind of square scenarios now, square secures, where they kind of set up on a square. He'll be really nice on one of those sides, going, well, I want to be on my side, but then on your side and contributing this turn. Like, he'll be. He's gonna
like B's and D's a lot.
But Guardians already likes B's and D's, so
right. Yeah. No, I agree with that. I think he does synergize well with Guardians. I didn't realize he was affiliated, so in my mind he was taking up one of your two Merc slots. I was like, oh, he's really bad at that because I don't think he's powerful enough. But if he's affiliated, I definitely see that synergy. Would you describe him as a like one man kung fu SWAT team?
I would say more like gun fu, right?
Oh, okay. Equilibrium.
Gun kata. That's what it feels like. Also, I love his model. I love the backside arc when he's got the guns in the tendrils. It's just such a cool concept. I'm gonna hit you with my fist when my guns shoot you. It feels awesome.
He's like talking to the town. He's like, "Get me closer. I want to punch him."
Yeah.
I actually think he reminds me more of like a Spawn type model than Venom. Like, he's just like, fuck, I'm gonna kill everybody. Like, he's like, well, what the hell is this? And like, people don't know how to react.
If he ever gets 8 power on him, God help you. Like, he blows up the whole center of the table. Yeah, he does the Carnage thing, which is really cool.
Yeah, so if the 5-die attack that bleeds, because that's solid, like, but if he gets enough power, God, you're right, he is fucking terrifying. So I'm actually thinking, at first I was saying to myself, is he good in Avengers? Obviously everyone's good in Avengers, but is he worth 4 points in Avengers? Because being able to place for 1 and being able to throw for 2, like, opens up on turn 1, if you can get him a second power, which isn't that hard, he can place range 3 on a medium and shoot range 4 twice. That's crazy threat range.
Is he on a medium base? I actually didn't pay attention to his base.
I thought he was when we saw the picture of him. Even if he's not, it's still well in range of almost everything.
Now I want to find a picture.
Because his tendrils are on the ground. Like,
it's the same thing Cable does now.
Yeah, right. But he doesn't cost 5 points.
You're right. I'm just thinking from a threat range perspective. If you've ever played or played against a Cable in Avengers, he's doing effectively the same thing.
Well, Cable doesn't need Avengers because he has 2 power. He just needs to be Cable.
No, it's actually further.
Ish. It's
1 inch further.
Yeah, but his gun is range 5.
Right, yes, but range 5 over range 4 is a 2-inch increase. Range 3 over range 2 is a 3-inch increase.
Cable only places 2.
Right, so Cable's placing 2, Venom's placing 3, but Cable has range 5, Venom has range 4. It nets out to Venom threats 1 inch further with 2 attacks.
Unless Venom's a short base, in which case it's the same.
Unless Venom's short base, then it's about the same. It's slightly smaller of a total bubble of threat range.
I'm trying to find other pictures of him from earlier.
But he also, think about the layouts of the new missions though. Cable's not doing anything when he does that. Venom's sitting on a point while doing it.
Right.
Because place 3 on a medium.
He's definitely on a medium. Next to Spider-Woman here, it's
noticeably bigger, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Like, he can contest B's, G's. I don't know if he can get to an I. I think he can get to the H. And so you might start seeing stuff like Wong or advanced R&D with him because you get the turn 1 like attrition plays.
Yeah, medium base
Or
pace 3
hell, just
is
play him in
pretty cool.
Inhumans. Just give him a power.
Right.
I like him. I think he's got a lot of potential, but we'll just have to see him on the table because obviously his stat line is the weakest part about him.
Mhm.
And if as long as it doesn't hold him back, I think he can be like a B+ model. But if he's just too power hungry and he just doesn't have the stats, he could fall to like C-.
I think a lot of people are going to. I have this feeling that there are going to be a lot of people who just love the character like me that don't want to put him down because he's badass.
Right.
But I think most people will go like, nah, he's 4 points and not whatever they define as the best 4 points. Not vision, right? With this automatic utility and shit. And so they don't. And I do not think people will glom onto him. I think people will think he's meh. But I think they're wrong. I think he's.
I see him kind of going the route of Punisher. Like he comes out,
Yeah.
no one really plays him, but everyone buys him because he's super cool.
Mhm.
And then like 2 people try him and they go, "This guy's legit busted." And
Yeah.
then he gets played for 6 months solid, and then everybody forgets about him.
Right.
I think the beam meta is a big deal. I think it's up and coming, and he's going to be a part of that.
The beam's more important than it's ever been.
Yeah.
And he's got a good one. Yeah, can you imagine Researcher with this guy hopping around, like having to worry about him the whole game? He just
Yup.
comes in and double beams, and you're just like, "Well, everyone's dead."
Yeah. How
Did
can
like
you?
6 free damage.
Right.
It's also 10
How
power,
can you protect
so
yourself?
Yeah,
It's
sure.
a lot.
That's fine. It's 8 power
well, assuming he
If you
places
swing.
first and double beams.
if you swing.
You
If
said he
swing.
comes in.
Well, if you know you're getting priority next turn, you just move in, set it up. But yeah, of course, if you have that much power, you probably just got dazed in the middle, and so you're like,
Yep.
whatever.
Yeah.
Here it comes, baby. All right. Oh, here's maybe. Do you think this is why Seeing Red got banned? Because this guy would be Seeing Red, King of the Universe, right here. Oh, you dazed somebody? I'm going to beam 3, causing AoE splash damage in the middle of your army.
Mm.
Sorry, bro. Oh, and no defense mods while I'm doing it.
No.
Seems pretty good.
If you want an
That's
answer.
not why. I know it's not why. I'm just saying.
Was that rhetorical?
All
I don't know.
Aaron, you're supposed to just assume everything's rhetorical and sit there silently.
I do that 90% of the time. I'm really
What
good
a strange
at
request.
You're doing a great job.
You're supposed to just assume everything's rhetorical and sit there quietly. It's an awesome request. Hmm.
All right. Do you guys have any other points on this gentleman?
No, sir.
I guess beyond the obvious, you actually didn't read the most important word on his card.
What, his name? Flash Thompson?
Flash. Yeah,
Yeah.
you can play him with other Venom.
Yeah, that's true. That's cute.
Mm.
If you want to double Venom.
I assume all you guys noticed that, obviously.
Mhm.
It's not a surprise to anybody who isn't hearing about the card for the first time right now.
Right.
But some of our people probably have not seen the spoiler yet.
Or know that Ancient Venom is not the original Venom. It's
Yeah,
a
they might have
different
just
guy.
assumed. Yeah, somebody out there clearly surely wouldn't know.
Mhm.
So yeah, fun, good. Let's see. I thought he was going to be scarier. Like I thought he was going to initial impression be more overtuned because like Agent Venom, like it's going to be nuts, right? Like everyone just
I thought it was going to be
figured-
like I thought it was going to be range 5 rapid fire symbiotic instinct with a throw. Like he's going to be like infinite damage
Mhm.
guy, but he's not.
And this might be an inside conversation that I know we've had a lot, but is this the first range 4 ballistic weapon that's not a missile?
It's not a thrown weapon. I
Right, because we've got
so.
the shield throws range 4.
Moon Knight's range 4.
Moon
His-
Knight Kukri
his-
things,
yeah.
his crescents.
Random should go.
The glaive from Blade is range 4. So thrown items are commonly range 4. Baton toss or whatever, I think is range 4. But like guns, like physical rifles, are usually range 3, and it's infuriating.
Well,
Like,
no,
I don't know if
pistols.
you've ever.
No, pistols are range
Pistols
3.
are 3,
Guns,
and that makes sense.
Guns are range 5. Like
Some
Winter Soldier.
Punisher's sniper rifle is range
aim
5.
shot.
and-
It's the same gun. How many guns does Punisher have?
I don't know. Have you ever seen Punisher in a comic book? It's
It's-
usually
no,
like
it's called
he's Rambo
hip fire.
firing, like
it's
spraying.
called hip fire and aim shot.
Yeah, but hip fire is not a range 5 weapon.
No, that's hip fire is his rapid fire shot.
I know, but what I'm saying is that's not I'm looking for accuracy at range 5. You're
I
spraying
know
at things
that's
close
what,
to you.
but that's exactly my point. But it's implying he's using. You don't hip fire a pistol. That doesn't even make
Right.
sense.
Right,
So
so
he's just dropping the gun down and just letting loose, for quantity of bullets, and then when he wants to hit something, he pulls it up and uses the scope. And so, like, I get that. Like, the gun is range 5, sure, but, like, he shoots it at range 3. But, like, there's no range 4 rifles.
No. There's only range 5 and range 3.
So, and I can't really tell from the art on the picture, so I was just curious. I don't know if any of the art shows like muzzle flashes, but I'm just curious if this is the first range 4 ballistic weapon we have.
Yeah.
Because
they're also they look
rocket pods on War Machine. They're not really a ballistic weapon. It's missiles.
This is also like I can't tell. I think they're kind of leaning both of the model and the card art into like the space guns. Like he got these from the Guardians.
Yeah.
Because in the Guardians arcs he uses like rockets stuff. And they're like high powered, closer range things.
I don't know if you read the name of the attack, but it's Clintar Firepower. They're Clintar guns. I didn't know they had weaponsmiths since they're made of goop.
They don't. I think it's supposed to be that he uses the tendrils, and I think that's what it's supposed to be. But
I got that, but I like making the joke.
They are goop monsters. Yeah.
I don't know how a goop would forge a gun barrel, specifically with rifling, but they're damn good at it.
Yeah. I'm looking through every character right now just to see if there is a gun, but I think we're right. I think it's just range 3.
I've looked before too, and it's annoying. I'm like, why is the guy with a rifle range 3, but the guy throwing a stick is range 4?
A croissant.
Yeah.
Random bullshit go. Still one of my favorite comic panels, not real comic panels of all time. I love that.
The dubbed over. Like the Mr. Fister panel.
Yeah.
I'll attack him in his only weak spot. His asshole. Just punches him right in the asshole.
It's good stuff.
Anatomically correct Spider-Man where the spider web comes out of his butt.
Yeah, oh my god.
It's much harder to swing.
Oh, wait. Is the Sin and Crossbones tactics card a range 4?
No, it's an energy attack. It's a plasma rifle.
Oh, that's right. It's a plasma rifle, not a ballistic weapon. You're right. Yeah. Okay. Just trying to think of the game that is a gun, but it's
so the closest ones I think we've actually had are the bad guy grunts or sorry the not the grunts but
the Hydra agents,
right? The Hydra grunts, which are just called I think Hydra weapons or something like that. But then there's also the Howling Commandos, which have energy weapons also. So I was looking up Hydra troopers, Hydra energy weapons range 4. They specifically say energy. Great. Anyway, it's just a weird quirk of the game that you're just like, why though? Like, it doesn't make sense. I mean, it's kind of like a throwback to 40K as well, because like you'd have sniper rifles and they were like range 24, and it's like back in the day, and you're like, but also you look at bolters like range 24. I'm like, you're telling me that this like assault rifle has the same range as a scoped sniper rifle?
Oh, well, okay. Speaking of Nick Fury and the Howling Commandos, you made me think, because I know their weapon is range 4. So it's like, what is it called? And it's called prototype weapons?
Yeah. It's the Hydra weapons from the movie.
Right. It's their like weapons they stole. But they're technically physical and not energy, but I still don't buy it. I don't think I don't know what we call those.
They shoot concussive force.
There you go. It's like a repulsor blast. Yeah. There you go.
Except repulsor blast actually does energy damage.
Yeah, which doesn't make any sense. And
so does Cyclops. It bugged me so much. It was like, it's concussive force. It's not energy.
No,
whatever.
There's nothing energetic early.
I'm sure that this topic is killing our listeners, so we should probably move on.
Yeah, I was going to say
I feel like we've all learned a lot.
Yeah. Actually, while we're here, can you explain to me what Project Rebirth 2.0 is, or is that beyond you?
Yeah, so it is the project that basically connected Flash Thompson when he was a Special Forces agent to the Venom, because he was maimed in combat, and they wanted to bring him up to fighting strength, and so Venom literally is one of his legs, or maybe both of his legs. I think he lost both of them in a combat incident, and so
I just thought that was like Eddie Brock sold it on Craigslist.
No. What a strange and terrible no. Yeah, I'm pretty sure both of his legs are from the knee down are made of the symbiote, because it was all
can he not heal creatures that he wasn't attached to when they suffered the damage?
in the comics, it's his whole like healing thing in the comic it's always just kind of Jedi magic. It's
It's
not
like
really.
it works when we want it to, but not any other time.
Right. It's just like for some reason you can't hurt Eddie Brock when he's got the symbiote on him, but if Flash puts on the symbiote, he doesn't heal his legs for some reason. They just don't want to happen, I guess. Yeah.
So I remember there was one comic book, like Old Man Logan, where he like lost a hand, and so he's just one-handed. Because in that comic, the person writing it decided that his regenerative abilities would not regrow the limb. They would just seal it off like normal healing would. And so he was just a one-handed Wolverine, and he was like 75, or he looks 75. He's probably like 800 years old, but whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, so now we know what Project Rebirth is. Moving on. Currently playing Aaron. What are you currently playing?
I have still been on my rotation of 10 random lists. I've played 2 games since we last chatted, once with Cabal and one with Criminal Syndicate.
I have a question about your Cabal list.
Sure.
Does it also play 5 restricted cards, or is that just the criminal list?
No, they both play 7, actually.
Oh, okay. More to come later. All right. So because you were doing like the 10 list, right? Have you narrowed it down to 2?
Nope, I should. It should be down to 2 by now. Or actually, it should be down to 1. So I can actually practice one for LVO, but I have not yet made a decision.
Jerbear, where are you at?
Well, I put Spider Foes up, and I pulled out Weapon X because I spent $50 per plastic model and thought that they deserve some table time. God damn it! And I had a lot of fun with them. Actually, they've got a lot of weird, convoluted nonsense going on, and basically everything just equals. These are all a bunch of 4-point models that will whip your ass if you let them, which is pretty cool. That's kind of neat. I haven't really played anything like that. Usually it's, I'll take a 5-pointer, a 6-pointer, whatever, and they're brutal. But no, it's just a shitload of 4-pointers with also X-23 swinging above her weight. And it's pretty fun.
Yeah. I think Weapon X has 0 problems on offense. They all do plenty of damage. The question mark just comes down to defense. It's like, I feel like every time I see a Weapon X list, or even X-Men in that case, whenever they're running the Weapon X package, do well, it's just because, like, in key moments, their models didn't die when they should have. And not that, like, that's not a big deal, because, like, dice are swinging. They're gonna live sometimes. But, like, when it happens in the worst moment, it swings the whole game.
Yeah.
Because, like, these models should not be allowed to live, and sometimes they get to, and it's just not okay.
Yep.
Right.
And then, I mean, we've all had the games. X-23 just kills everything in your list. And
and it's like,
oh, okay.
Because if you think it like this, if there's 5 times they were going to kill one of your models and they got them all 5 times, that's unlikely, even though they were supposed to die individually each time. Mm-hmm. Getting 5 60%ers in a row is unlikely. So, like, it's you can't expect them to always die, but when they don't die repeatedly in the most important moments, it's just too much. They swing back too hard.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's hard.
I'm having a ton of fun with Sabretooth as well, the Apex Predator one. He's pretty cool. He's very stout, very sturdy, and like he swings back real hard, which is pretty cool.
This is actually something I was thinking about earlier today. I think it's kind of funny. In over the course of a turn, damage reduction is very similar to healing factor, right? If you're attacked 2 times and you don't die, it's like, and then you get to activate. It's very similar to having healing factor 2, right, on Wolverine or X-23, right? Because you got attacked twice, you didn't die, and now you get that health back at the end of your turn. So, you know, in terms of
if you're going with the assumption that you're going to live through the 2 attacks,
right?
Yes.
And so what's funny is that when they design characters, it's kind of like what you pointed out with the Asgardians. They gave them all the ability to gain 2 power, and so they made all their powers cost more. Almost everybody who has DR has some very serious offensive drawback. Like they're very immobile. Most of them are very immobile because they're like big blocky tanks. Or they have less damage dice, or they have a less powerful throw, or they have less range. But with the healing factor characters, they have healing factor and also great like premium offensive packages. So like that's kind of what you said, Brandon. I think that's why I was thinking about this the other day, like in terms of game mechanics. I think that's why they feel so ball busting, the healing factor characters, whenever you don't kill them, because when you give them functionally DR2, now they're getting all the awesome things the tanks have in terms of survivability, and they're still sitting on these fantastic packages and slightly more power, because when you have DR you actually don't give them the power but when you don't down a healing factor character, you actually gave them that power, they're healing it back anyway, and now they're using that power to kill you with their amazing offensive packages.
So yeah, that's pretty obvious, I think, to most people. The as long as you don't die, healing factor is better. Mm-hmm. But the problem being is like you don't get to. It's not even correlation. You can't just say, "Oh, well, this model's attacked twice. He has healing factor, so it's as good as DR." It's not, because you do have to survive the attack. You can be attacked more than once, and that just forces you to activate that model. And there's a lot of times when that's like situationally undoable. And so you don't want to be locked into activating the model as soon as it takes damage.
Right.
And honestly, the models that have damage reduction commonly actually have better stats than defensive stats than these models do. Which is why I actually get so infuriated, because I'm like, okay, if you actually just look at this model and you erase healing factor, which is not relevant on my turn. It's completely irrelevant on my turn that you have healing factor. And it's like, all right, so I'm going to attack your 4 physical defense, 6 hit point model, and then you take exactly 2 damage from 4 attacks. I'm like, okay, well, you should have taken 7 and been dazed, but instead you're going to heal to full and get to kill somebody. And so it's just like the problem is like there's that perfect situation swing back, which is so potent because, like you were saying, once we get past the point when you survived, it's better in every situation. And so it's just like you're playing the lottery machine. And I think if you get a truly fair number of instances, you're slightly worse than average. But if you get like 1 or 2 more lucky survives, you just roll somebody because it swings so hard.
Yeah.
Like everyone's done that when they like X23 lives on 1 and then kills 3 people. And you're like, okay, well, this game's basically over. Like, because that was a difference of 2 health on her, and then, I don't know, 9 to 15 damage on the board. Like, it was this swing of almost 20 damage. And you're like, yeah, that's a ridiculous amount of swing.
But I think one of the things that the Weapon X package brings that's new, and we use X23 as a really great example, because she does not have to be in the mix in order to start her stuff, right? Because she has her spender and only costs 2. She can be range 3 away from one of your models and then dive in. So it can be hard to reach out and get her without overextending. But now new Logan Wolverine has that same ability, and also new Sabretooth has the same ability with his pounce, with his super pounce. So like all 3 of these characters are difficult to go and get unless your Weapon X player obliges you and throws them in the middle, but you just don't have to. So I think that's one of the reasons why Weapon X is going to feel different than or rather, just using these 3 models is going to feel different than using the original healing factor models, because all 3 of them can become that just slice and dice machine, but they can start from range 3 from one of the models that you have in front, and now they're doing it. So as long as you're playing them a little bit reserved until you're ready to commit, it's really hard for your opponent to dig them out, and then you get all those positive offensive benefits without having to send your guys in the middle like you do with your DR characters. You're going to have to run them in, double move, sit there, hope you don't get thrown away.
It's also an affiliation that uses 2 old tactics cards like they were born for the affiliation. I mean,
the affiliation was designed around them.
Sure, and that's fine too. But I mean, those 2 cards, exceptional healing and no matter the cost. That's the one, right? No matter the cost.
Yep.
Like those 2 cards are just crazy in there. They're great. It's perfect. And it just softens the edges of things for it, and they just kind of they do their thing. It's cool. Like I say, it's just cool having. I've been running Carnage with it just for shits and giggles, but it's really funny because they ate every single model in there. Just has so much hate. Like they just murder everything. You're like, oh, you left it alive. Okay, cool. It'll kill you.
I know this is no secret that X23 is overtuned a bit. but I like to refer to these models as paragons because they're literally the pinnacle of what you would want in a exact example of a model. And we've seen multiples of them throughout the game. Like when the game first came out, it was Valkyrie. Valkyrie was the pinnacle of a 3-point attrition piece because she always had the power she needed. She had action economy. She had dice mods. She had everything you could want. And she got hit because she was just too good at it. She invalidated so many other choices. Now Lizard and Luke Cage are like the 3-point survivability guys. If you need bodyguard, you take Luke. If you don't need bodyguard, you take Lizard. And it gives you everything you want. It gives you some kind of board control. They give you the most defense you can have for the point cost, and a little bit of offense, maybe to help out some. And so, like, that's exactly, if you want a survivable model for 3 points, it's one of those two, and there's not even really another question, unless you have to have an affiliated model. And like Bucky's the long-range damage dealer now. Like, he's just too good at it to allow another model to be in that spot. And so X-23 is the most efficient damage dealer in the game for 3 points, but she's so much better at it than other 3-pointers. It's frustrating to me. Like, I think she's noticeably too good. And so I think I would expect to see a change on her in some way. I don't think it needs to be big. I think Valkyrie got a little overtuned. I think she should probably just lose the reroll. Like,
I was going to say that. The reroll is what does it.
Because
There's
currently
no need.
she's got the best attack on any 3-pointer, basically. She's got a perfect spender because it gives her everything she wants. She's got Assassin, and so on. You could also get her to lose Assassin. That would also fix it. But I think that's might be a little heavy. Like, I think she would get almost a little invalidated for that. The healing factor, too, is big, but it's swingy because sometimes you don't live, right? Like, you only have 5 hit points. And so I think it's just the reroll. I think it's just too much.
The same as having...
Go ahead.
It's basically the same as having healing factor 5 on her.
Oh, right, yeah, because she's never good. Well,
she's either fully dead or fully alive.
No, I see a lot of times she lives at 1, and that's the problem. Like, she literally lives at 1 because you just came up just short. She heals 2, goes back to 3 hit points, but she also kills 2 or 3 people. And that's the problem. Is that she has infinite power because her abilities cost nothing, basically. Like,
yeah, her spender for a 3-pointer,
her spender should cost at
should
least
cost
3, probably 4. And the assassin should cost 3.
Yeah, it shouldn't be that she always gets to do both of those things always, which is like functionally how it works.
When is the last time you had X-23 and she didn't get to spend the amount of power she wanted? She was short on power.
Yeah,
like, I don't know that it has ever happened in the game. Like, that anybody's ever been in that situation. Like, you do no matter the cost just so that she can claw rush on turn 1. Yeah, it's just too much, I think. I think the rest of the Weapon X guys are actually in a decent spot, but I feel like they're crutching pretty hard on X-23.
Yep.
And it's not just them, it's everyone. Everyone's playing X-23. It's just annoying. It feels a lot like Black Cat when Black Cat was first on the scene. And it was just like, okay, well, if I attack you, fuck me. And if I don't attack you, fuck me again. So this is a great model.
Mm-hmm.
Like, all right. So moving on. Parker, what are you playing? Sorry, we had a bit of a tangent.
Yep. So I, after our last podcast, as I'm off to do, I hear something about a faction that I have, a fleeting interest in. And so we mentioned that Inhumans may have gotten stronger, but we weren't sure. And so I played them a bunch of times on Thursday and played 3 different games. And I found out that they're probably even better now than they used to be at rolling downhill down the middle of the board. Since everything's, kind of concrete in the middle of the board, they are still really good at that. And maybe that's also just the way I like to play them, which is an early game lead. The fact that the games are a little shorter does help them. The problem with them is I ran into a super hard wall, which is as soon as I saw, I think it was just even 4 extracts. And I went up against somebody who had 7 characters, and I had, 5. And when there was just 4 extracts on the board, I couldn't keep them. Like, there was not a lot of choices. It didn't help that we purposely set up terrain that was a little tilting. And so it was up to me, actually. I got second player, so it was up to me to choose the correct side, and I chose the wrong side. So there's also that. But
question. Did you intentionally choose the bad side for practice, or did you think you chose the right side at the time?
I thought I chose the right side at the time because we purposely played with the size 5 terrain, and so I was like, okay, I'll make this his problem. And I wasn't looking at this size 4 terrain that was on my side. I actually was looking at it as a benefit, but it just so happened that one of the extracts was sitting on top of it, and I did not realize that a medium. I can't remember which one it was. 90. I'll just look at deployments real fast. It was the one that has 2 on the previous C edges, and then there's 2 in the middle, lined up on the center, but not on the middle. Just makes me mad. I can't remember which one that is.
I want to say H is the split one that used to be like Mayor Fisk.
No, it's not H because
Okay.
it's an extract.
Oh right, yeah. G is
It's
sword.
J.
base.
It was J. It was the
J.
J. It was the J. And that.
And so it's the slightly closer to you in the middle, but there's one on both sides.
Mhm.
It's like
So, right.
super scrunched in D.
Right.
Yeah.
So J, it was the extract, and so I did not realize that a medium mover could just walk twice and pick up his medium mover could walk twice and pick up my extract.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that's as easy as it was.
And then they're kind of standing where you need to be to get theirs.
Right. And
Yeah.
so and also he could pick it up from the other side of a size 4 terrain. And so he got 0 reprisal. The point of the list is on turn 1, I can vaporize anybody who tries that kind of thing. But it just so happens that I did not I was paying attention to the size 5 terrain. I thought I was giving him a problem, and instead I gave myself an insurmountable extract problem by letting him hide behind a size 4 terrain with that. And so and then of course now I remember which one it was. It was the new senators that makes you move as soon as you pick it up. You roll
Scrolls.
So it's new scrolls. And so of course the one extract that I had to easily get on one of the flanks, I immediately rolled, I immediately failed, and so my Medusa moved closer to him and he just 1-shot at her, or maybe 2-shot at her. Didn't matter because then I dropped it. So on turn 1 he went up 3 extracts and I got 0 extracts that first turn because I didn't even have enough guys to pick up all of them, but they were all I dropped them all. So that it was kind of over on turn 1 because I messed myself up on the deployment. However, I did, because it was scrolls, I did get a chance to play Terrigen Mists, which brought me back into it a little bit. So I played Terrigen Mists and downed his Storm and got 2 points and picked up the Storm on turn 2. So that wasn't nothing. It's not that I had no plays, but I found out once I was down by 2, I just didn't have enough bodies. Even though he was playing X-Men, so he was playing wide. So he wasn't downing me super fast. I was killing him as quick as I could, but I couldn't kill him fast enough. He just had more bodies than me, more activations. He always had like 2 models at the end of the turn to activate, at least sometimes 3, and he just kept flipping points and kept picking up extracts, and I just needed more activations after that horrendous start. So I guess what I found out is that Inhumans, Arian's point last cast, which is as soon as you have to pay 5 or more points for your leader, you're taking 1 activation out of the game, and maybe that's just a way to lose extracts, lose on extracts. And so
I don't think
ran into that.
taking a 5-point leader means that you have a bad list. I think not having a flexible list to transition into a wide list makes it a bad list.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're building exclusively Inhumans and you don't have a pivot that can go wider, then you're taking a 4 and a 5 in every list. That's not good. That's very bad. And so I can definitely see that concept.
Well, in that way, Inhumans is a little restricted because they have no 2-pointers.
I agree with you. Yeah. I mean, you'd have to put in a different leader. Like you have to play not Inhumans as like a sideboard.
Right.
Which I think is doable.
Mm-hmm. So I think that's something to consider. And that's something I started to consider when I was thinking about what I'd like to try to practice next. We'll talk about it a little bit later. But I'm thinking about, okay, so what factions that could go big or do go big with their leader do have smaller point characters to fill in those slots to increase your numbers if you need to or if you want to. So
yeah,
that's where I'm at.
Do you guys have anything else you want to chat about your list before we move on?
Brendan, I kind of want to know, did you want to talk about your list in the next segment?
Yeah. So Parker had given us the smoothest segue. So as my list that I played is going to take us into our next segment also, which is I played a Brotherhood Cabal, known as Bro Balls is the affiliation acronym. So I built this from memory. Aaron, you might remind me if I have any inconsistencies here. So this is why I threw together on my phone after we played. I have Red Skull, Magneto, Juggernaut, MODOK, Hood, Zemo, Mystique, Toad, Quicksilver, and Rogue. I think Rogue might not have been in there, and I might have had something else, but I cannot for the life of me remember what it was.
I have no idea what your list was. I just know what I played against.
Right. So then for tactics cards, I have Dark Reign, Asteroid M, Books of Truth, Cosmic Invigoration, Deception, Do You Know Who I Am, Magnetic Refraction, Indomitable, Brace, and Can I Borrow That? I think... Oh, yeah, I remember. I didn't have Books of Truth. I had Aim Lackeys instead. I like both. I might play with this some more, but I'm going to throw in Aim Lackeys real quick. Then my tactics cards... I can't remember all of my secures. I had Alien Ship, Researcher, and Montesi. Demons Downtown, Intrusions, and I can't remember my last one, but I put in Gamma into the list. I don't think it was Gamma, though. I know I was going for lowest scoring blues. I think I did Gamma. I don't know. So I wanted us to kind of talk about this, because this is basically what I'm going to be playing at LVO. And so I wanted to try and tweak this. See if you guys could give me any more juice. So it has to be painted, and I don't have a lot of other painted models, which is why this is kind of strange. I don't think
Strange.
Yeah, right. Doctor Strange is also not painted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, after the move, I will be able to paint more, but right now, painting's kind of off the table.
What were your extracts again?
Montesi, Alien Ship, and Researcher. So just for people that haven't heard me talk about this list before, we have, this is we've talked about this a ton on the podcast, but not recently. It's been a while. The old Cabal list used to be Red Skull, Magneto, MODOK, and then you put in Salt to Taste with the final model. It was Bob for a while. It was Zemo, depending on points. Toad works okay. Hood works great because you get healing. Wong is pretty good. Yeah, so it's basically just a really powerful, tall list that you would play on narrow scenarios. And then if you end up not playing that, you can transition into Freedom Force with Mystique. And let's say at like 17 points even, you can build pretty wide even with this pile of junk. So that's the thing. I would have to basically cut Rogue for another 3-pointer if I want to go for maximum wide, which I'm fine with. I don't think Rogue is adding a super large amount to the list, but my wide list at 17 would only be 5 wide because it'd be Jugs, Mystique, Hood, Zemo, Quicksilver. Alternatively, if I replace Rogue with a affiliated 3, which is just Gambit, or that I have painted. Which I'm not a huge fan of. He's okay, but he's not ideal. Then I've got Mystique, Hood, Toad, Quicksilver, and Gambit, and Zemo.
Well, if you're trying to go wide, are you doing it probably because you want to cover more secures, or want to pick up more extracts? Because Gambit's pretty good at both of those things.
Kind of both. So Mystique lets you pick them up and you refund your power, so she basically
Right.
gives you first class. So I can be really aggressive about doing both.
Mm-hmm. But I think Gambit is good at that. He's not going to like be a power horse,
Sure.
He's not going to be like an E-secure. He's not going to help you win an attrition game, but he's definitely going to be able
He's
to.
going to be fine
hold the
because he skirmishes decently well. Parting Shot's really good. And
Right.
Parting Shot at the ranges that the new scenarios are at, I think is going to be really strong.
Right.
But other than Parting Shot and an occasional, like once per game, good attack, he's kind of just meh.
But he
which
does
is
have
fine.
he does have the bow staff if he wants to walk up and try to bop somebody off. Like
True.
he can just score a secure that way. He can give you that. So I think he is good at a. Oh, I need 3 points in affiliation to 1v1 and be out there doing that. I think.
Yeah. So the ideal go-to is generally Magneto, pick a 5-pointer between Jugs and MODOK, and then throw in good support in like Hood and Toad if it's Jugs, or you could do Quicksilver and Toad if it's MODOK. And that gets you to the middle point range, and then you can obviously change it up some. Ideally, I would have Pyro and Blob available, but they're not painted, so...
I had one question. Are you excited to play the Cabal form of it when you think your opponent might be playing something big so that you can try to just outgun them with Dark Reign, or are you
So I
trying
don't
to
need
do
that
it when you're
because
running downhill on an E scenario?
yeah,
Like,
I don't generally need the Dark Reign. It's just there as a bonus.
Mhm.
It's mostly Cosmic Invigoration is the backbreaker.
Right.
Getting to, because a lot of people like it's a tempo of activation thing. Once your big guys are gone, they feel kind of invincible in the later rounds, and then they have to play around Cosmic Invigoration every turn of the game as long as like keep in formation. And so if we get a super narrow scenario, like the threat of activating Magneto on any one of my turns when he activated first is something that you can't really deal with. And so they can't really collapse in on him without getting punished.
Mm-hmm.
And so you basically have to 1v1 Magneto, which is really hard.
So I guess what I'm saying is, are you interested in that situation? You want that situation before the game starts, so you pick it instead of Magneto leading Brotherhood. Are you doing that? I guess I'm just saying, if there's an E scenario, you'd rather have that. You'd rather run downhill with Cabal than run downhill with regular Magneto Brotherhood.
Not a lot.
Okay.
Like I played Cabal versus Aaron on Monday or Thursday. I think it was Thursday, and it was good. It was fine. The problem with Cabal is they almost have to go middle, so it has to be like an Echo deployment. Brotherhood can spread out or can split better.
Mm-hmm.
And so I intentionally played, because we got a B scenario, so I intentionally played Cabal just to see how bad it was. And it was bad, but it could have been worse. To being able to take aim lackeys and have the port by Red Skull means that you can actually cross the field in one turn, even with slow models, which is nice.
I will say that you don't really need to split very much anymore, right? Like the H deployment is, what used to be the split is now H, and it's pretty close.
Well, the split was B. That was the problem. Our Secures was a B.
I thought the most split was the old 2 on each side. B has always been box, but
yeah.
What was the old one that was? I can't remember the letter that was.
It was C, but there was just no middle on those C's.
Right, that's what it was. It was
but
called
they
C,
moved,
but no middle.
Yeah. They were C's back in the day.
Right, but now it's called H.
And they're much closer together now. Mm-hmm. So now B is actually, I think, the most spread out mission.
So you're saying, I guess so. My question is, in B, do you play? I guess your question is Mystique if you have a lot of extracts with B, Magneto if you have less extracts with B, so that is that how?
I don't think taking Magneto is that big of a handicap at unless it's a spread out secure. The spread out secures make it harder, but even on something like F, he can affect multiple points pretty easily, and the fact that he has board control means that he can go late in the turn and actually have a pretty big impact. Mm-hmm. The problem you run into is when there's a lot of secures and a lot of extracts. Now being down activation is actually scary because the game's going to end so fast. I don't know that I'll get my attrition work done in time. And so that's when you start thinking about not taking mags and stuff on like B's when he's only going to be able to affect 1 point really. That's like, is it really going to be worth it to have Magneto on 1 point? And so you can kind of just replace him with Jugs, who can affect the entire board.
So I guess this is what I'm driving at. The point I was coming to, which is right now, if we're really sure what Mystique does, right? Mystique goes wide for this scenario that you wouldn't like, which is low number of activations because you're playing big models. So Mystique, and you could try to go wide, or you easily go wide because it works really well actually, because she's a great extract manipulator and secure manipulator. And then you have this other package that you can play whenever you can run downhill or everything's more central. That's E's and H's and that kind of stuff. And so you can play Magneto to be a big bully. So I guess my question is, if Red Skull is the only model that you're actually adding into the list, because you'd like to run MODOK anyway, maybe in Brotherhood, maybe it's MODOK and Red Skull can both leave, but could taking those two out to make your go wide better worth it? I guess is my question. Is adding another 2-pointer in there so you could, make sure to have extra bodies when you really need to go really wide.
To take out which models?
Red Skull and MODOK to lose the Cabal. I guess what I'm saying is I'm 100% believe you that the Red Skull and the Red Skull switch is really easy to do because it's only costing you 2 models and 2 tactics cards, and you could definitely afford it. But if you're looking at it going, man, I'd really like to be able to have more flexibility with my go wide. I'd like to be able to do more with it. Since you already have a package of Magneto and Juggernaut to go bigger in Brotherhood and feel good about that, do you need MODOK and Red Skull and those 2 tactics cards?
I got you.
Yeah.
I'm okay cutting Red Skull and saying we're only playing Brotherhood. I think MODOK is in the list regardless.
Okay.
Because I actually play him a lot.
Yeah.
And so that's just kind of determined on if we're gonna have a static mission or if we're gonna have a mobile mission. That's kind of determines my 5-point option. So yeah, MODOK's in there fucking every time almost, it feels like, and Juggernaut's his alternate. So taking out Red Skull is actually pretty catastrophic, I think, to the lists, because I'm losing 2 tactics cards and a model and a leader. And what do I put in instead? Like, I'm fine with the thought process. It doesn't offend me at all. Like, because there's not a lot of games where I'm considering taking. I think Cabal is better. It's pretty rare, I would say. It's mostly just like a weird, like, if we're gonna just stand there and take haymakers at each other as hard as we can, I think Cabal's better, because you have Dark Reign, you have Cosmic, you're playing the same big guys, and so it's just kind of weird. And also the counter control with the portal. So there's good stuff that Red Skull brings. It's a lot of support, but it's 4 points. The leadership is arguably better when you remember to do it. So what are you thinking that could synergize with this list? I'm all ears. I would love to hear some options.
If you're talking about, like, if you think,
yeah. So if you're
willing to lose Red Skull, I guess.
For cuts,
what's
I
so
would
great?
be willing to cut Red Skull, Zemo, Rogue.
Oh, I forgot
and then
Zemo was in there. I even forgot Zemo.
He's just a good 3 though, so it's
He's a
hard
great
to
3.
argue against him. So if I'm willing to cut at least 3 models, what do you guys think? What else could I do? I have Scarlet Witch. She's painted. I have Hulk, if we want to just be silly.
I actually played against a Gamma Launch Hulk Magneto list.
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty serious. Like, that was a problem. It's not terrible. Like, and you definitely get priority, and you just smash face. It's pretty.
You can
cool.
just do that with Asteroid M though. Like, you don't need Hulk. I mean, it's cool, and it's cheaper on Magneto's end. It's noticeably more expensive on the other guy's end.
Yeah,
you're supposed to Gamma launch Jugs and then Asteroid M. It's a twofer.
Double dip.
But you don't need to Gamma launch Juggernaut. He's the fastest model in the game.
He's describing a meme, I'm fairly sure.
He's the fastest kid alive.
Yeah.
How many missions are out there now that actually Quicksilver cannot do anything to?
It is civilians he cannot. So, and
Skrulls.
researchers. So it's Skrulls, Spider People, Senators.
4.
Ooh, that's kind of a
researcher. It's less than half. But I mean, you obviously just don't take the card. If that's
yeah,
the
I was just
situation.
wondering.
I actually think Quicksilver is going to be. I think all stealing effects right now are fantastic when games are.
Well,
down
the
to
question
such
isn't
tiny
that. The
numbers.
question is that he's a fucking 3-point affiliate model, which means he's in the list. Like, he's in there anyway. There's
He's
no
already
cutting
good
Quicksilver.
enough.
That is not on the board. You could cut Magneto out of this list before you could cut Quicksilver. I've tried. Like, it's not possible.
I'm just looking at 3s and going, what would you prefer? What would you like more?
Yeah, my only 3-point affiliateds are Gambit, and that's it. And I think I'm gonna have to add him. I don't think there's a way around it. I think I have to.
What about someone like? Okay, I'm talking about if you took out leaving MODOK and take out Red Skull Zemo, right? If you're taking out Red Skull Zemo, which is kind of the little Cabal package you have,
Okay.
would like Ghost Spider Heimdall, just giving you a lot more utility possibility. Ghost
I
Spider.
like Ghost Spider. She's got legs.
Yeah, giving her
for days. Yeah,
because when you destroy something with Magneto, now
she gets power.
and then she gets one power and she's fine. She's ready to go.
But she's usually good moving forward in web lining anyway. But yeah,
right.
Or impact webbing. I mean, but yeah, giving her even more power means that her lifesaver is online every turn because she's gaining 3 or 4 power around if I want her to. So yeah, she's just always live at all times, and she can get her god turns where she's like, move here, punch you, bunch of dice, pull this guy, move again, blah blah blah. It's like, oh my god, like it's so annoying. And
she's speed long. She really likes to pick up things and not cost power because she's power. She's a little power starved. So even in Mystique, she feels good.
Yeah,
because
move
even
up,
if all you do
impact
is
webbing, pick up an abstract, and then still have 2 power.
Yes.
Yeah. Or just webline on turn 1. Like, you're guaranteed weblining and you're picking up an extract.
Right. I think Ghost Spider. Heimdall was my other idea because he does get 2 power.
My
You like
Heimdall's
him?
not painted, but I do like Heimdall.
so-
I think he's
sorry.
good in Brotherhood.
Yeah. I'm sorry. That's right. You're a little bit of
Yeah,
painting thing.
we're in a little bit of a torture chamber here because
Right.
apparently the tournament is painted only for some fucking reason.
I think Ghost Spider could be a really interesting include. If you're looking at it going, man, I can't think of a really good reason to play Red Skull. If you just took him out and replaced it with Ghost Spider, I don't know if like you said, it does gut some of your tactics cards as well. Maybe it's not worth it. But
I mean, it just lets me take different cards, right? There's plenty of
Right.
good cards. Brotherhood does not have a lack of cards.
that's true.
Yeah.
There's only
Like
a million.
Dark Reign just becomes Books of Truth. Like there's this direct comparison. I could shoehorn in Scarlet Witch and run 3 5s and a 6, and then I could play Difficult to Please, and then we're just back in town. Like we're doing it all over again.
A really good kind of semi-offensive, and especially for movement is. Oh, wait, never mind. You don't have him painted. I was about to say Nick Fury, but he's not painted for sure.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't think I'd take another 4. Like if I want to take a 4, I think I'd play Rogue.
I'm sorry. Nick
yeah.
Fury and the Howling Commandos is where I was going with that.
Oh, okay.
Because he's a 3 that can hop Magneto over his
Got
medium
you.
base,
Gotcha.
and he does provide some damage, not terrible. amounts,
I
but
think I do Lockjaw first or Heimdall first, but yeah.
it's more
Mhm.
less gimmicky, but
Yeah.
again, you don't have to paint it. Do you have
Yeah.
Hood painted? Is your Hood?
Yeah, my Hood's done.
Didn't you? At one time you really liked Hood. Do you have him in the list already?
Oh, yeah, he's in the list.
Never mind. Okay, I
Yeah.
missed it.
So the models we're good on are Magneto, Jugs, Hood, Mystique, Toad, MODOK, Quicksilver are like in, and the question mark pieces are Red Skull and Zemo and Rogue. And so like I think Rogue's good. I don't know that she makes a lot of the final cuts.
It's funny. It's like there's really no reason not to Red Skull, is what I feel like.
Right,
But
like that's
I'm
where I
trying to
got
find
to is
one.
like the painted models were there. So right now I was even considering cutting Rogue for Killmonger because he's painted.
Yeah.
It's like Killmonger's Cabal. He's amazing with Dark Reign. I don't think people are going to be ready for him.
I still think Ghost Spider's a really cool include if she's painted. I think she's really interesting. with
She is
Magneto.
painted. That I like it, but now we're cutting Red Skull for Ghost Spider, which I don't hate, but I don't feel great about it either. I feel like I'm losing a lot of options for little options.
I'm
'Cause-
with you.
How is she making the list? Because let's look at the breakdown. This is where we get into. So let's say we're playing the Magneto list, right?
Sure.
So Mags.
Mhm.
All right. So who's next? Like what point? Pick a point total. What are we building to? 17. It's a fairly wide range right now, but let's just say 17.
Yeah.
So throw in Jugs. We're currently affiliated. So let's say we threw in Ghost Spider. I got a placeholder for Ghost Spider. Now I got 3 points left. And it has to be Mystique or Quicksilver.
hmm
And so that's the list.
Yeah.
We cut Jugs, throw in Rogue. Now I'm completely locked out. I don't have an option. There's no legal list where I could take Rogue, so that doesn't work. It basically has to be a 5-pointer. Or I can
see.
do maximum wide with like Ghost Spider, Mystique, Toad, Quicksilver, but that's the only legal list at 17 that doesn't include a 5-pointer. And so it's just hard to get her in the list at some point totals because I don't have that wide bench of cheap models because they're not painted.
Mm.
And so I feel like I have to cut Rogue for a 3-pointer. Honestly, you want to know the times I play Cabal is when I have to take a 4-pointer and I just put in Red Skull instead of Rogue.
That's actually
that's basically the times I play Cabal.
interesting and not wrong.
It's like, so you can either take Rogue or Red Skull. And I'm like, well, I guess we're playing Cabal. Because I'm going to look real stupid if I play Red Skull in Brotherhood.
I feel like he's got some new tech.
Yeah, new tech. Very good.
Shunt damage into Red Skull, and then Red Skull. No, wait.
Mm-hmm. What do you guys think? You guys have been kind of quiet.
I like Ghost Spider in there a lot. Being able to save Magneto, being able to a long mover. Long movers are super premium. I
Aaron?
like cover. I like cover on Ghost Spider with
It's not a bad point.
yeah, and it's the same range, so yeah, it's good
So
shape there.
currently, the argument against her was I'm already playing Zemo, who is a long mover, who's even better with cover, but he doesn't have Lifesaver. So we're basically saying Lifesaver and Webline are better than Zemo's damage output. Maybe. It's very possible. How about this? Let's look at it this way. What if we leaned harder into the Cabal side versus the Brotherhood side? Is Hood Cabal? Does anybody know offhand?
Yes,
I thought he was.
he is.
All right, so let's cut Quicksilver and Rogue, and we're gonna add Killmonger and what was the other model? I had it. It was in my brain, and I totally just spaced.
Was it a Cabal model?
I'm pretty sure it was a Cabal model. 3-point Cabal. I'm gonna filter by Cabal.
It's not Mysterio.
Yeah.
Who do you have as a 3-point? Crossbones? Like,
No.
Get him
What
in
was I-
there.
What was I thinking?
is your
had
Mordo
somebody.
painted? Is that what you're thinking?
It's not Mordo. Wow, I thought for sure I had somebody in mind. I
It's
was like,
for
oh, that
3-point
guy'd be
Cabal.
really good. And then I was like, oh, no, wait, that doesn't work.
3-point Cabal is not anybody you have painted.
Oh, it was just putting Ghost Spider, I think, was the plan.
Oh, yeah.
But be Cabal instead. That doesn't sound
Ghost Spider
right.
and Cabal is also good because she does 1 impact webbing and might get 2 power, and then
She
another way to
could,
get
but I don't think you can't have 2 support models because Red Skull's a support model.
power. Mhm.
I think that's not good. Let's see.
I wish you had a painted Mysterio.
So other 3s I have painted of note are Magic, Proxima Midnight, who's very solid,
Hmm.
underrated as a 3-point drop-in.
I agree.
Iron Man.
I don't think Iron Man's ever been the wrong choice in anyone's list in all of history.
It's not a bad take.
I'm telling you. It's never been like, oh, fuck, all I have left
Oh.
is Iron Man.
Ant-Man. Ant-Man's pretty good.
Ant-Man has specific jobs. Like,
Mhm. Oh, also Miles. I have Miles painted. I think either the Webheads for 3 and Proxima Midnight would probably be my go-tos.
what do you think, Aaron? You've been quiet.
I was told at the end of the cast to shut up and pretend every question was rhetorical.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Have I not been doing that?
Yet you just replied.
I know.
True.
Got me.
Mhm.
He only plays random lists. This doesn't make any sense.
I mean, if you're arguing about the 10th character slot, it probably
No,
doesn't
I'm-
matter.
Yeah, I
mean,
know. But
You're right. Zemo versus Gwen is entirely, neither is better. They are each better in different situations. I personally would want to have a bunch of 3s to run Mystique with.
Right. I just don't like. There's not enough 3s painted. I don't have them. So let's say like 20-point. Yeah, I was trying to go as wide as possible, and like my 20-point attempt at Cabal doesn't look that wide. It looks good. So it's Red Skull, Mystique, Killmonger, Hood, Proxima, Zemo.
Okay, that's fine.
That's still 6. That's a lot.
6 at 20 is good. It's not great. So it's really just 2 4s, right? Like it's fine. So it works, but I can't go lower really. Like I could cut Proxima for Toad. That seems less good. That gets me to 19. Still trying to get smaller. Cut Killmonger for Proxima. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 still affiliated. So 18. I could do 18. Do Red Skull, Mystique, Hood, Zemo, Proxima, Toad. That's not bad. 18 either. But down to 17. I'm going down to 5 models. There's no way around it. So the Mystique list on the backside, it just doesn't work. I don't have enough 3-point. So I just have to add Gambit, I think, if we're going to keep the Brotherhood as the primary.
So how much is Dark Past free?
Yes. Cost 0 power.
I've wondered if there is not a good place to use Gambit in Dark Past with all of these big centerline shenanigans going on, where I think the name of the game is how do you get an extract advantage safely, right? There are a bunch of ways you can build your list to do that, and I think it is very meta. Or how do you grab the extract and not die, a la
Yeah.
your stealth models, your tanky models, Lizard. Like Lizard's going to go take the hammer because you're probably not going to one-shot him, etc. So I think with Dark Past, you can move Gambit up, play Dark Past, and then do whatever the hell you want with the rest of your team and not worry about whatever plans your opponent has. Just like you said, hey, Agent Venom, plays 3 and double tap 4. Well, Dark Past gives that entire plan the middle finger.
Well, I mean, he's so far forward, he might have stealth range on you, but yeah.
Isn't Dark
Only
Past...
if you're on the...
Dark Past is 2, right? Range 2?
No, it's just, you just gain stealth.
Oh, really?
It's not
Shit.
super stealth. Does that change your whole opinion, or it's just less good than you thought?
It is less good than I thought.
Okay. Yeah, Maul's within 3
Yeah.
currently gain stealth until the end of the round.
I-
They gain the stealth superpower, yeah.
Yeah. I still think it's worth potentially.
No, if I'm
testing
putting
out.
Gambit in, I'm playing it. Like I'll have the space because. So let's look at this. So I put in Gambit, which gives me at 20. At 17. This is my option for Mystique. Mystique, Toad, Quicksilver, Gambit, Zemo, Hood. 6 models, 17 points. And then you can just at 20, you can cut Toad for Jugs. So it's Jugs, Hood, Zemo, Quicksilver, Gambit, Mystique. And so that gives me 6 wide at anything above average points. And going down, I just basically cut Toad, and I'm at 15. I can't actually, no, that doesn't work because I don't have enough affiliateds. No, I do. Yeah, you can cut Toad. It works.
Okay, give it a shot.
Yeah, I think adding Gambit's really fixing my big problem. I would prefer it to be Blob, but... So if I were to cut Red Skull, is there anyone I can even add? Do you think dropping Red Skull and the 2 tactics cards and picking up Rogue and 2 tactics cards is worth it? Do you think it's better to have the flexibility of going Cabal?
I don't know. Not with Red Skull.
But you do with Malekith.
Absolutely, yes. The right answer is take Malekith. But since we're not going to go there, I do not think you play Red Skull Cabal without leaning heavily into Beam Team, Rapid Fire, and ways to really leverage his leadership. Because I think he needs to punch well above his weight to be worth it. That's just my 2 cents.
You think getting the extra power off of his leadership is what makes the difference?
Yes.
Okay.
I still don't think that puts him above 50%, but
I've always felt that the leadership is just icing on the cake. Like, he doesn't need it. I mean, obviously he's not good without it. But he's not really good with it. Like the 2 power per round, maybe, like, it never really mattered to me. Like in my experience of playing him in a lot of games, it's just like it's extra, but like that's not why you're doing it. You're doing it for the support and for the tactics cards. But anyway, okay. What about so I've cut Red Skull. I'll cut the tactics cards as well. So I'm gonna add in Dark Past and the Books of Truth for right now. All right, so for the 10th character slot, plan was Rogue. I currently have 0 4-pointers and 2 5s. Alternatively, I could put in Scarlet Witch.
For 3
Rogue's
5s?
just better,
Just
right?
have another option for the 5?
Yeah, so that way I have 3 options.
I guess the question always is, like, when is Scarlet Witch the right call? She
Yeah,
is
so-
pretty cool with cover.
Well, so the real argument, I don't think you ever play Scarlet Witch and Magneto together unless you're just trying to play difficult to please. I think you would play Scarlet Witch with Mystique. And so she basically is a discounted Magneto for Mystique.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think Rogue's probably better.
I think Rogue does a lot of work the more power she gets, and she also is a big enough. She's tanky enough and a big enough threat, and she's a model in Mystique's list that you can send out in the middle if you don't want to pay for Juggernaut, right? You want to go with more models.
Mhm.
She can definitely go out into the middle of a board and not feel terrified about it.
Yeah.
And if your opponent obliges and tries to kill her, gives her a bunch of power, they'll probably expend too much energy doing it, and then the reprisal will be enormous because she'll go get you and she'll spend all of her power doing damage.
Okay.
His is a really good throw too. Yeah, I think that's all win.
Yeah.
So Zemo or Gwen is basically the final question then. I think Zemo has a lot to add because the list likes to brick up and my missions brick up pretty hard. Adding Strategic Genius on top of everything is pretty big. I don't know if it's as big as Lifesaver, but I think it's relatively close over the course of a game.
If you're
But
planning, go ahead.
it's also giving me a huge threat range damage output that Zemo brings once he gets, because I'm just stacking power on him. He could just be sitting there giving me rerolls while I'm stacking power on him throughout the round, and then he can just rocket out there with a speed long charge, Steel Rush, and just dump 6 dice into somebody with full rerolls, and he can get a lot done that Gwen's not going to do, and Gwen is way squishier.
There's also something to say about the fact that Zemo is going to be up as and not force Magneto to move, but be scary. So he might take a shot that Magneto would otherwise take because he's squishier. People are like, I'm going to attack Zemo because he will fall down. But if he doesn't
Mhm.
fall down because of the cover and the rerolls, now you're in a huge advantage. Kind of like we were talking about with the healing factor guys.
Yeah.
Whereas with Gwen, they're like, well, Gwen's way too far back. I can't go past Magneto
Yeah.
to get Gwen, so I'll just shoot at Magneto. Then you rope Magneto back with the Gwen's ability, but now Magneto might be out of position to come back
Yeah,
in the
that's
fight.
the problem with Lifesaver in this list.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think Zemo's probably the right call. All right. I think this is good. I think this is definitely closer to being what I wanted it to be. I was probably just falling into a familiar spot with the Cabal slide in.
Also, we're looking at the models you had painted, and those are some of the first models you enjoyed
Right.
having.
Yeah,
so you
I painted
all.
them because it was the list I was playing.
Right.
All right, so missions. Is there a better secure than Gamma Wave for me? I like, obviously, Incursions and Demons are perfect, but Gamma's less dangerous than it used to be. It's probably fine, I guess.
Yeah.
So then Montesi and Researcher are perfect. Is there better than Alien Ship? That's probably my weakest extract.
I like Alien Ship.
What do you like about Alien Ship with this? I'm curious.
Because it gives a big question mark to your opponent. If you want to play an attrition list, I think Alien Ship, you can triple down on what you're trying to do by letting them pick it up, or not letting them, but if they pick it up and then you damage them, give them the power. If they've tried to retreat to brick up at all, now they're just putting their entire team in danger.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because it's you roll, if you have 3 or more power and you're holding a power core, you roll 3 dice for each skull, and wild you take a the character holding the power core and all characters within 2 suffer 1.
I think it's just a skull. I don't think it's skull and wild.
It's skull and wild.
Wild
is it?
Result. I'm reading
Okay.
it, yeah.
So yeah, it's even better than I thought. So
Yeah.
I think if you're playing attrition, I've never played this actual mission yet, but it really intrigues me for that reason. It throws a big wild card that's, I think, heavily in your favor.
Yeah, all right. I think that's going to finish that up. I think that's a good spot to keep testing. All right, saved. Thanks, guys. I know that wasn't overly stimulating because we are limited on the pool of characters, but it's gonna help me get some
You
practice.
made it. It was a challenge list.
The other option was basically play Black Order without the new stuff,
Oh my
which
god.
doesn't sound that interesting.
No.
It was literally going to be like Black Order plus Magneto and Hulk, and that was going to be the list, and we were just going to see what happened.
With all that being said, I would like to play Black Swan more. She's so not. Which is the one with the power, all the power and all the damage? It's Black Swan, right?
No, that's Supergiant.
All
the damage?
No.
Yes.
Yeah. Black Swan. She just kicked so much ass when she was playing the first of the Black Order. I mean, that list did not kick so much ass, but she did. She was cool.
I like how you talk about her in the past tense. Like, too bad you can't play her anymore.
Nope. She's dead to me.
Literally, she's dead. Jeremy plays Iron Man MCP. When a character dies, he can't play them anymore.
I make sure they're painted when I
Yeah.
play them, and then if they die, I throw them out.
All right. Parker, did you do a comic corner today?
Oh, did I do a comic order today? Yeah, I did. So I'm going to try to play A-Force next. And so I decided to sit down and read all of the comics that called A-Force. And so my comic corner today, and you would think that, oh man, I have to collect a huge amount of comics. That's actually like 15 comics, which kind of surprised me. They based a very large faction of this game on a very, very tiny run of comics ever. But I wanted to point it out to you and highlight it because after having never read it, and I just went and read it, it's very good. If you've never read it, so there's 2 things to know about it. One is if you read the first run of A-Force, it takes place during the Battle World saga, which is the end of the last Marvel universe. They did a big reset where Doctor Doom uses his will basically to grab all of the different Marvel universes that had been written and played around with writers and kind of formed them into one planet because he was trying to save all of existence. And so one of those lands that he kind of gloms together into one battle world was called Arcadia. And it's an alternate universe where the Avengers never formed. Instead, it was a group of women that kind of formed the core. All of the Marvel heroes are still in that universe. So, like, all the male heroes are also there, but they just never formed the Avengers. So, their version of the Avengers is the A-Force. And so it's led by She-Hulk and the others, and it's all precipitated, as a lot of things in the Battle World are, by interacting with other realms in Battle World. So if you haven't read any of the Battle World titles at all, and you just read this one, it may seem a little odd, because they make references to features and geography and other factions, and you'd be taken aback by it. So if you have read any of the Battle World stuff, you're more or less, you know, familiar with it, you'll really like it. It's precipitated by the arrival of a new character in the Marvel Universe, a really awesome female character called Singularity. She's basically a pocket dimension with sentience. That's what she is. And she's this kind of sprightly kind of character, and she sets all these things in motion. The A-Force has to unravel this plot against them by one of their own. And it's a lot of fun to read. The art in it is fantastic. It's done by one of my oh no, and I'm blanking on his name right now, and it makes me super bad. I'm gonna find out what it is right now. I'm not gonna let this go. But he drew a lot of Avengers stuff at the close of the last like Avengers run, and so he does all the art for this too. It's super good. Oh, George Molina. Why else I can't? Oh my God, George Molina. That makes me so bad. Anybody who knows a lot of modern comics, he does really cool photorealistic stuff. Is kind of his thing. He wants everything to look really photorealistic, and so it's cool. So George Molina does all the art for the A-Force run, and only has a couple comics. But the reason why you might want to read it, if you want to read A-Force in the primary, Earth 616 stuff, is they picked it up for 10 more issues, right after Earth 616 started up, and basically so the Singularity character persists after the big reset. If you want to read the end of the Battle World saga, you can, but at the end of it, everything is reset. Earth 616 is started up again, along with all the other universes, and the Singularity character persists, and so she shows up in Earth 616, and she is kind of taken aback by all these things are obviously a little bit different, but she wants to go meet her friends, the characters at A-Force, and so she is being chased by this other interstellar entity that's connected to her. She doesn't understand how. And so she's seeking help from all her friends, but they don't recognize her because they're in a new, they don't remember Arcadia. They don't remember any of this stuff. They're not exactly the people she knew. And so she goes back and she finds all the members of A-Force and collects them together. And so then they have adventures together in the Marvel Universe while some of these other like major events are happening. Like Civil War II is included in it, and a couple other major events. So if you'd like to know what is Medusa doing when she's not being the queen of the Inhumans, during some of this stuff, while she's hanging out with A-Force doing this stuff. What's She-Hulk doing when she's not a member of the Avengers? And what's Carol doing? Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel, what's she doing when she's not running S.W.O.R.D. while she's running around with A-Force? And so it's kind of it's a B story for the Marvel Universe, but it's really fun, very well written, and I really enjoyed it. So if you'd like a B adventure that introduces some of these characters, and you wonder why is this in MCP? It's because there was a really good, very short comic made of them. And check out A-Force, just called A-Force, and that's it.
Cool. I like there's like comics from the perspective of there's other shit going on, and so it's not always just about this, which is their main job.
Mm-hmm.
But it also reminds me of when it's like, hey, remember that time there was a Avenger level threat and the Avengers didn't show up, and nobody mentioned the fact that why aren't the Avengers here? Like, this is like there's aliens attacking the planet, and they've been doing it for like 3 days, and
Right.
they're just not here. It's like I just want like one of the MCU movies is like I don't know, like Luke Cage's debut movie, and he's like Luke Cage in like Times Square, and like alien space armada shows up, and he's like, what am I gonna do? And then like the Avengers show up and fix it, and like he's not even involved. It's like,
Yeah.
man, it's a good thing the Avengers showed up. That would have been real hard for me to deal with.
Yeah.
Like it's just like that would be amazing.
Yeah, some of the best and like most poignant stories that I've ever read in the Marvel Universe, comics universe, come from real B storylines. Almost throwaway issues, have nothing to do with major sagas. Like one of the best ones is in Ultimates X-Men. Like what happens, one of the side stories that they used to talk about a lot is gathering mutants and to come to the Institute, right, to learn about their mutant powers and how to be better. And that was just kind of as soon as they formed the X-Men with that story, they just kind of dropped it. And you're like, where do the other mutants come from? Well, they just show up. But they did this awesome Ultimate X-Men did this they were very deliberate about showing these, just taking a moment, having nothing to do with serious plot lines. It's not Magneto. It's not the end of the world. It's not Sentinels. It's just this new mutant appears, and so how do we treat them? How do we, get them to come to the school? What kind of powers do they have? And some of those little side stories are wonderful. One of the ones that's really poignant is there's a boy who secretes a flesh destroying acid, like particles out of his skin. And so he wakes up one day with his mutant power, and everyone within like a 20-meter radius of him is just like turning to dust, but he doesn't know it. He doesn't understand. Like, it's happening before he even comes around the corner. And so
he just thinks all the people are gone.
Yeah, he's kind of just weirded out. Like, where's my mom? Where's my dad? Where's my dog? And all this stuff. And he eventually goes to school, and then he realized, like, a bus pulls up, and all of a sudden the bus just keeps scooting by him, and he's like, what the hell? And it's because, like, it went into the radius of his power, and everybody just kind of fell to dust. And so of course he freaks out because he realizes he's murdering everyone with his power. And so Wolverine shows up with him, because Wolverine's the only person who can regenerate faster than his power can destroy him. And so he shows up and has a conversation about, like, what does it mean to have this terrible power, and what could he do about it? It's a wonderful comic. If you want to read that, I wish I knew which issue that was, but it's Ultimate X-Men. But the side adventures are just so cool. And that A-Force is exactly like that. It's a bunch of really interesting side adventures with these characters that you know from other big titles that always have these huge stakes, but here's less stakes, but still interesting for the characters.
Cool. All right. Well, that's going to wrap it for us today. Hopefully you guys had fun. Hopefully you're as excited about LVO as we are. Should be a good time. This has been Brandon.
And Parker.
Jeremy.
And Aaron.
And you have just listened to No Bro Balls Here.
So what are we going to call this thing?
I got it. Okay. Incredible, new, fantastic, astonishing, mighty, original, uncanny, sensational podcast.
I'm just going to put down infamous.
And we're back.
Boom, 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 boom.
We're the greatest.
Welcome to 2023.
Like no one ever was.
So excited.
Man, 2022 was a good year. I'm excited for 2023. Let's roll.
If a year had cancer, it would be 2022.
Really?
I'm with Jeremy on this one. It was the worst.
I feel like
worst
that's
fucking
your
year ever.
opinion, man.
Worst year. You're not serious, right?
I was going to say, the
you
2
can't
or
think of
3
any
years
years
prior.
in recent memory that was worse.
Personally, yes, 2022 is much worse.
19, 20, and 22 crescendoed into the tip of the fucking berg, which was 2022, and everyone who was having to work in the market and having to deal with all of it is up and fucking insane in 2022. Now, people are allowed out of their house and they're not wearing masks, I agree. But the shit show that has been created is full bloom. So now I'm hoping 2023 everything just chills the fuck out. And it's like, guys, we still live on the planet. We're still people. Everyone can now smile. Okay, just chill the fuck out.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I was talking more personally than like the world.
Well, Jeremy has to deal with the world, though, so it is.
I'm like,
personal.
dude, it's the same. Like, I mean, honestly, like for even schools, like my kids finally got a memo. I finally got an email that says I can do a document that now will allow my children to eat lunch with me. I can go in and eat lunch with them again.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, holy shit. Like, wow. Okay. Welcome back to the club.
Hey, good job, man.
You got taken off the pedophile list?
No, I didn't say that.
Don't put words in his mouth.
Huh?
I liked 2022 because it was a sea change for me in my job. That's the 100% why. And now I enjoy going to work every day, and I'm not worried about it. That's a big part of my life that wasn't nailed down, and that's why it was good. 2023 is just more of the same though, so I'm fine with that. Knock on wood.
I think the way my job is I'm so involved in healthcare. I think everyone who's involved in healthcare in any of that way, like any way, just any tertiary, any of that, I think everyone would be agreeing with me and how the last few years have gone and where we were at in 2022. It's just terrible. It can only get better, is my opinion.
That's courting fate there.
No, it's fine because it's
That's
already
bold.
a shit show. So whatever, dude. I'm out. Like I'll fucking parachute out. I'm like, it's okay. I'll go live at my. I'll just go back to my parents' bedroom, like basement or something.
Jeremy's literally playing like hostage negotiation with his work at this point. Like he's like, I'll fucking do
Truly.
it. I'll walk right off this fucking cliff. Like, watch me. Like,
Yeah.
Bail out.
And I mean, I know, like, if you're involved in the market and stuff like that, and like just housing and just anybody trying to buy something is like, there's tons of memes about it, but it's so true. Like, everything is just crazy. I'm just hoping reality hits back to like, look, people only make X amount of money. Like, life equals this. Like, stop it. Whoever's going crazy, stop it.
Yeah. Well, we'd all like to blame one thing, but stuff like this is always like a perfect storm, right? There's always these very, very, very many things that come together in just the right way, and they compound on each other like waves.
yeah.
Stacking.
Yes.
It would be nice if it all subsided, though. Like you said, there is hope, though. Like, the trends are they're not just skyrocketing still continuously like they were.
No, I believe that they have chilled out a bit.
Yeah.
So you're saying that 2021 was just a placebo year that lured everyone into a false sense of security?
No.
Okay.
I didn't like any of those years. Like
Oh, okay.
From day one of put your mask on, things are getting south to up to end of 2022.
So
There were
you're
still
saying
things-
you would prefer if just the time period of 19 through 22 didn't happen?
Yes.
Okay, so you
Yep.
don't want to play MCP?
I started playing MCP before it.
That's
but I would.
2019.
Yeah, it was right before the COVID stuff.
Well, that was 2019. It came out October 19.
It's not to say there isn't things in life to enjoy.
I disagree.
That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is the
I just
tone.
assumed, based on how your games went on Monday, that you
I
just
should
weren't
never
gonna
have started.
You were just never going to play MCP again. Like, I assumed, like, you were like, yeah,
No.
fuck all of it. It
That's
can
not
all die.
true.
Okay.
You would just assume I have never had played MCP before.
Oh, okay. All right.
I
Man,
think that-
Adepticon
yeah, go
already
ahead.
feels close.
Oh man, yeah. As soon as you brought it up, I was like, "Isn't that like
That's like 9
in
months away. It's
April
in
or
like
something?"
8
And I'm like,
weeks.
"Wait, that's
So-
coming."
I actually wonder if they're going to sell out and how quickly, and if we need to be sitting at our computers on the morning of the 8th, which is in 4 days.
For the tickets?
Yeah.
I don't think so. They're gonna have so many tickets for MCP. Now for Blood Bowl, probably.
They are not going to have so many tickets. They just fucking released them.
What do you mean?
Well, hold on.
I guess there will be a big draw, but they had a huge area for MCP last year. They have a ton of terrain. They're gonna have even more terrain and mats this year.
Yeah, the problem is they're doing 18 fucking what if organized play events.
Oh yeah. Well, no one ever plays in those. So
Well, it doesn't matter when they have so let's see the actual. Okay, I lied. Well, I didn't lie, but it's 128 in the Challenger event. Tickets available.
I think last year they had like 70.
I think
play.
they had 64. Or did they actually have
Yeah.
more than 64 play though?
I think 64 played. I think they had 70 reg.
Okay. I'm willing to bet they will not sell out of 128, but I could be wrong. I'm a
will
little more
see.
worried about the stuff that I'll be doing, the affiliation battles and the team ups. Those only have 32 available spots.
Yeah, those are gonna be question marks.
I know every single year I go there, it's never sold out. Like it might be sold out, but 20 people don't show. Like there's always
Yeah,
spots.
I don't think there's ever been a tournament I wanted to play in Adepticon and they wouldn't let me play. I don't think it's ever happened.
And that comes from the guy who didn't have a badge, didn't pay anything, and also showed up late.
My history of Adepticon's kind of awkward. So I have been Carl Jones, Colin Pritchard, and I want to say it, obviously myself, and then also another person. I've also been a nobody. Like
I was gonna
I've
say,
been,
like you've
been 5 different people at Adepticon, and yeah, it's been weird. I know enough vendors that I'm like, oh, I forgot to buy a badge for Adepticon. Hey, do you need help with your booth? You're like, yeah, we have an extra vendor badge. I'm like, yeah, I'll help you with your booth. Like, I do that like a lot. Or I have like friends that had to cancel for some reason, and I trade their badge for something. Yeah, Adepticon's a great time. Anyone who's been into war games for a long time, it's worth going, even if you don't play. Just walk around. It's a spectacle. It's not as big as Gen Con, which I think is a bonus. Like, Gen Con is like literally like a zoo. Like you go, there's never anywhere to like sit down, or like you always have to like hold all your stuff because like you can't put anything down because you're literally in a crowd. There's nowhere to park, nowhere to eat. Everything takes forever because there's just too many fucking people. It's like going to a sporting event. It's like you can't do anything but experience it, and that's all you can do.
Mm-hmm.
As where Adepticon is much more, feels like an actual gaming convention where you're there for events, and there's vendors and stuff you can do. There's seminar classes you can take. There's all kinds of cool stuff, but there's also a ton of spectacles too, like the armies on parade when they pull out all of the 40k team tournament armies, when it's like 4 armies that have all been painted to match on this cool scenic board, and they've got like paragraphs or pages of history written about their armies, and they put all this like a year of labor into making this thing look as cool as it could. It's really fun.
You can also do your clothes shopping for the entire year.
Why, just all the t-shirts?
Like I have literally been in my Adepticon sweatshirt for 9 months. Have you ever seen me wear something that's not this?
I mean, I assumed you wore something underneath it.
Once in a while, I change the undershirt.
Mm-hmm.
Adepticon's interesting because, like, the hotel it's in, you don't necessarily know what's going on until you walk into the room that it's going on in.
Yeah.
So you'll be walking and you're like, I wonder what's going on in there. And you'll open like a double door and there's 4,000 40k players.
Yeah.
And it's like as far as the eye can see of that game happening. And you're like,
and you turn into another room, or you're going to your hotel room, which is in the hotel.
Yeah.
That's it's attached to, and you're like, you turn a corner and start walking down a hallway, and like a bunch of the room doors are open. You're like, what the hell? You're walking past, and like people are playing board games in the individual hotel rooms because they're sanctioned board game space on like the second floor of the hotel. And so it's just that you go into all the different rooms. Every room has a different board game, and you just play in that.
That's pretty neat.
There's like role playing games going on. There's a board game like loaner space where you can just go in and borrow a board game and play it there. There's a bunch of demos for new games that aren't even out yet. There's a ton of vendors. It's super fun. It's my favorite convention. It's on a whole different scale than a regular convention.
Yeah.
It's the gold standard of wargaming conventions, in my opinion.
I concur.
I'm super glad I went last year. Looking forward to it.
I definitely also view it as the most of a vacation of all of my con trips. Because Adepticon, there's usually like the 2 big events I'm playing in, but it's a 4-day event, so I basically have 2 days off to just kind of hang out and talk with people I don't see a lot, play games with people I don't see a lot, play pickup games, like, walk around. It's good.
Yeah, this Vegas one coming up, I'm just wondering how it compares.
Yeah, we'll see. I know LVO is, I believe, like the 2nd biggest wargaming convention now. It's big, and so I'm excited. I haven't been before.
Yeah, I decided to save up my cookies up and spend them on LVO because I haven't done it. But if I wasn't doing LVO, I would only be doing Adepticon every time. First choice. We'll see. We'll see if it pays off.
Well, Chicago has pizza too. Like that whole
Chicago
situation is legit.
It's Lou Malnati's, right? That's the one we always go to.
Yeah, that's the one we go to. It wasn't that good last time. I was kind of sad. I think it was COVID was the reason, but we'll see. It was just regular pizza. It wasn't amazing.
I got a random advertisement for like a food shipping service.
Yeah,
it talks about like if you want exactly this pie from this location, and one of their examples was Lou Malnati's pizza.
Yeah, well, I mean, Lou's just does frozen pizza delivery. They cook it and freeze it, and then you like reheat it in your oven. It's like, but it's not the same, right? Like frozen is never fresh.
Oh yeah,
and like some foods do travel decently. Pizza normally does, but like the whole thing about Lou Malnati's is the sauce, and it doesn't compare to fresh.
Yeah, it's really good.
Tangential question. You guys planning on going to Melee at Shiloh?
When is that?
February 18th and 19th.
2.5 weeks after.
Yeah.
No, 3 weeks after LVO, yeah. I'd be down for that.
Where is that? Where is Shiloh?
Just day trip, right? Arkansas.
Yeah, It's 3.5 hours.
Is it Shiloh, Arkansas, or is that
No, it's
Yeah.
Fayetteville.
Fayetteville. It's
oh,
Brent.
Fayetteville?
It's Brent's Con.
Yeah, but didn't you say there's 2 days?
There are, however, the competitive event is only Saturday. The fun event is on Sunday.
Yeah.
So you
Also,
could
I
one day
would
it.
be. Brent has offered to put people up in his house before, and I stayed there last time, and it was nice. So we usually go down the afternoon the day before, and then we hang out with him the night before, and then go straight to the con the next day, and then drive home after.
Yeah, as long as we could be back by Saturday night, I'm probably good on that one.
So, we would just do Saturday. You think? That's what you guys are excited about?
That's
So-
what I would do.
I played the Fun MCP event on Sunday last year. I was sorely disappointed and gave him my feedback.
But that was the casual tournament, though. So
It's not even the problem is it's not even a tournament. It's here's a sheet of 60 objectives. Whoever
Yeah.
accomplishes the most of them wins.
mhm.
Mm.
Like win or lose is irrelevant in the game. It was all about, well, how about you let me throw you and then I'll throw this guy and then we'll both knock off these objectives from our tick sheet. And so it all
Mhm.
became either you scratch each other's back or you're the dick that's like, no, fuck you, you're not throwing my guy.
And then you lose automatically
Because they're not
everyone else is
helping you.
colluding.
Right? It was fucking stupid.
Yeah, no,
Um,
I generally agree. Those are really stupid formats.
So I told him, but it looks like it's the same type of event this year. So that makes me very less motivated to play on Sunday. How about that? So I would be
Oh, yeah.
down with what you said. Drive down on Friday, drive back Saturday night.
Yeah, that's also going to be currently the week after the Super Bowl, I believe. And so football will be done, which is what is killing all of my weekend time right now.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
If people want to stay Sunday, I don't mind, rolling dice.
yeah, I wouldn't care either. Yeah,
It doesn't matter to me one way or the other. Let's put it that way. But I do intend on
What?
going. How about that?
It's interesting. It's so close to LVO, but it's
3
also
weeks.
it's
Yeah.
also my birthday. So
So back to the party in Arkansas.
actually, I think Saturday would work out really well. I think because I get birthday tokens, right? So I can spend them on all day gaming on Saturday, but Sunday's my actual birthday, so I get back here, which would satisfy everyone here. So I think that's actually a really good idea. I'm going to lobby for that. I don't think I'll have to lobby very hard.
Yeah.
You can probably count me in.
Shit. When is Adepticon? What day?
23rd to 26th.
March?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Is that
Okay.
the day you're moving?
Basically.
Oh,
Well done.
I'm really so happy when this is all over. I've actually not been that busy the last few weeks, which has been I'm like catching up on my I need to fucking relax a bit instead of just scheduling every single day like shit I can't even be home for. So I'm finally catching up on my sanity after the huge renovation this year and moving and everything else. And so, but now I'm going to move again in 2 months and fuck yeah.
yeah. You just kind of lined up incredibly hard work life thing, renovations.
This will it will actually be 13 months of basically every fucking weekend / day just having everything to do.
Mm-hmm. Let's just pick up my whole life. Let's just pick up my whole business. Let's just overhaul things multiple
just
times.
Literally rebuilding my life one fucking piece at a time. I can't, it's hard for me to even imagine what shit was like before 2022.
Yeah.
And I didn't hate 2022. Lots of great things happened, but it's just holy shit a lot. Right? This was 10 years of life adjustments in 1 year.
At least you got everything packed up. You were like, okay, I got everything packed up, and you move. So you still have it in a structure,
Somewhat.
right?
Well, I didn't know I was going to be moving so soon. I expected I was going to live here for at least a year or two. And then things happened, and now it's lining up it lined up to where it's going to be better to move sooner.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's not all still packed, but it is more packed than it definitely was before I moved.
Yeah.
But yeah, so now it's honestly at this point I probably need to start making the plans to pack everything again now, just so it's not as much of a pain in the ass.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's mostly just big furniture is the problem. Like I just moved my big metal desk upstairs into my room, and then like 2 weeks later, I was like, I'm moving. Like, God damn, I would definitely not taken that up there. It's a huge pain. But yeah, like my D&D game is on hiatus because I can't even unpack my table. Because what's the point if we're gonna play 3 games and I'm gonna put it back in the garage? Yeah, it's just a mess.
Well, I can say precisely when you say we're on again, I will be there.
I know, right? Well, it's also like I lose basically 8 hours a week driving.
Mhm.
Like that's a lot of extra time lost too.
Right.
And it makes it really hard to like, oh yeah, let's go to Arkansas. I was like, well, it's a 6-hour trip for me.
Mhm. Also, then, and like, if you want to do the D&D game right, you want to have some
Mm.
time to write and things. And when are you, like you said, downtime? When is that happening right now? It's not happening.
Yeah, and I have some downtime to write. The problem is like, okay, so if we're gonna play a game, we're gonna play for like 4 to 6 hours, but I'm gonna drive for an extra 2.5 hours with all like the prepping and everything. Drive down with like my digital display TV, my laptop, 100 pounds worth of physical books,
Mhm.
all of my dice and tokens and everything that we need. All the miniatures we're going to need to play with, or I make a bunch of people drive an hour to meet me, and then I have to like unpack all my shit anyway just to do that. It's just a headache. It's like when it's so close, like we're halfway there already. I was like, let's just wait. I do want to play again though. It was a fun game.
Mhm.
All right, let's go ahead and get started. You guys good?
Yup.
Word.
Nice. Jeremy, you changed your nickname again.
I guess. What did you change it to?
I didn't change it. I'm just saying I
Oh.
noticed that you changed it. It's
Oh,
no
yeah.
longer it's no longer dipshit.
Oh.
He ruined a joke. We had a long running joke and he changed it. It's
I
all over
know.
now.
Don't worry. I'm lazy as fuck. I'll just leave it.
Yeah.
Probably.
I'll just change it slightly. Like I'll just replace like an E
I
with
won't
an
even
O,
notice
and
it.
he'll never notice.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
Balls.
Balls. All right. So I scoured the internet and
Oh,
I
yeah.
found something that Jeremy and Parker are going to enjoy.
Aaron,
in
you can leave.
the spirit of the holidays. Well, I mean, Aaron will enjoy it because you guys won't. In the spirit of the holidays and Christmas break, I got a joke for you.
Exciting.
So, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer just got his report card, and his grades improved in math, science, and English, but he went down in history.
Oh, that's cute.
I was really searching hard. I was really plowing through all the things I could think of, trying to get there first, and I couldn't. That was good.
That's cute.
He's like, it's like you're in a life or death situation. You're like,
Yeah.
what's the way out? Like, I
For some
gotta
reason,
find
yeah. For some reason, I was thinking I got fixated on the nose, but not the song. Well done.
Yep. Got him. Classy. Staying classy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Tomorrow at the shop, I'm gonna ask you guys to see if you can solve my A-Force problem. I'm gonna see if I see how it goes.
I think you just put A-Force models on the table and it's better than Inhumans, so I don't think it's really a problem.
You think Inhumans would be better than A-Force?
No.
You said the opposite of that.
I said the
Oh,
opposite.
okay.
Yeah. I think
I
A-Force is just
misheard you.
better.
Okay.
I think so yes, being down a model is generally bad.
Mhm.
However, being to leverage a 6-point fucking ass beater is not bad. And everything else about their affiliation wants to play in the new missions. And so I think they objectively got better. Now, did they move from like noticeably bad to okay? Probably. Did they move to amazing? Probably not. That's my opinion. I don't see how they can't be playable. Like, they have to be at least playable.
Riddle me this, because I haven't done enough homework. This is something I looked at, and I was very surprised. Besides Guardians, who kind of don't count, I'll tell you why in a second. I think they're the only affiliation that has 2 2-pointers.
Oh,
And-
yeah.
The only reason why Guardians don't count is because one of them can't score.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of interesting that even though She-Hulk is 6 points, you can run 2
Contesting twos, yeah.
2 contesting 2s in the
I mean,
faction.
you
to get
can run a
affiliated.
bunch of contesting twos, but you just 2 of them are affiliated, yeah.
Right.
The
I just thought it was
interesting
interesting.
about them is that like they don't really want non-affiliated models. Like
No.
there's not maybe Bucky, maybe, and he's like a rogue agent. So like yeah, some of the cards matter, but
As I was
Yeah,
building the
yeah.
list, I was looking for like a character to put in instead of one of their characters, and I was like, I can't think of one that's better exactly. Venom was high on the list. I thought he synergized pretty well with him, but not so much better than Medusa. I don't know. So much better than Captain
Well, see,
Marvel.
I think the trap is when you start playing like Angela and Captain Marvel in there, and so like I think Captain Marvel can work. I think Angela might be a bridge too far. I don't think putting 11 points into 2 models is a good idea.
I took that out. I
Yeah.
did leave Scarlet Witch in for I think only one like situation. If it's like 19 points and I can run downhill, like
Mhm.
that might be good enough.
Yeah,
But that's the one reason I think she's in the list. But
I think
she could
Scarlet
be-
Witch is just a whole different can of worms, and so like you're talking about a model that is going to demand the game, and we're talking about like Malekith might still be good. So like having an answer for Malekith as well, it would be good.
I would like to put my vote in again
Oh, yeah.
that Malekith
Yeah.
is good. I want to assure.
You don't say.
I want to assure. Yeah.
We didn't get to
that's-
bat reps, so you lived to fight another day. So you're not going to get raked through that experience again.
So your son got me in a fun way with Shield. I wasn't paying attention to his leadership, where when you're behind and you daze a model or whatever.
Mhm.
But neither was he.
Um,
But luckily, when we were doing scoring, he remembered and then placed himself 2 above me. I was like, "What the fuck is that?" He's like, "Oh yeah." I was like, "Okay, dude, it was
didn't-
fine."
You
you know.
didn't call him on it. You didn't be like, no, that happened about
No.
30 minutes ago.
No, I was just. It cracked me up because I looked down and I was like, "Why am I so far behind?" He had just moved up twice. I was like, "What is this shit?"
From the last 2 turns, you mean?
Yeah, it was 2. He
Oh
moved
my
up 2.
god, that is.
He's like,
that-
I forgot last turn.
it really
Uh,
bothers
That's
me
not
when
cool.
people like forgot something that definitely is a trigger and they didn't do, and then they're like, "Oh yeah, like I'll be attacking somebody," and I'm like, I'll look at the board state, like in between attacks, like I made an attack, I've used a superpower, and like I'm looking to make my second attack. I look at the board state, I go to do something. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna attack this guy, and then they say, oh wait a second. Now that you've rolled your attack dice, I forgot that Ghost Rider should have 3 more power. So he's going to gain 3 power and use Wicked Judgment on you. I was like, no. like you are way past this trigger. And I made the decision to attack him knowing that you couldn't use this ability. It's like you can't retroactively do it.
I'm pretty bad.
If you
about,
want to, if nothing's going
yeah.
on and you're like, hey, I forgot to do this, do you mind? That's a completely different conversation. That's very doable, usually. But when it's like, oh, well, now that like all that, like I made the decision to attack here, given the board state, like you can't change the board state mid attack.
Yeah, and I mean most of the time I do play that way. But I know for a fact that he was rolling dice to see which
Yeah.
list he was playing. It's completely different when someone's like, "This is my list. I play this list all the time.
Yeah.
It's the best list I've ever played." You know,
Also,
that's totally different.
Mm-hmm. Well, like in your situation, it wasn't affecting the current situation.
Yeah.
It was just like you forgot. Like,
Yeah.
It's like,
We
hey,
both
it's
forgot,
my.
but it was his.
Yeah,
to
it's like
remember.
we're in the power phase. I just realized that I forgot to, or like I've activated a model. I forgot to power up this model. It's like, yeah, that's fine. But if you're like, oh, you're attacking me. Well, I forgot to power up Steve, so I'm going to gain a power on Steve and then bodyguard. I'm like, that's not how this works. Like, you are playing a different game than I am playing.
Yeah,
Anyway.
it was funny at the moment.
Yeah.
I was like, oh no, I'm losing.
Mhm.
It was just like randomly losing.
Yeah, it's extra weird since it only works when you're behind, and
Uh-huh.
like he went to ahead of you.
Yeah, and I mean, thank God, like I know enough about Shield to understand like entirely. Like I totally dazed models, like I know I did, and like we knew the state it was in. He just
Yeah.
didn't trigger it. It was just like he just didn't do it.
Mhm.
I'm like, oh yeah, those are certainly yours. It's just it's like turn 3, okay.
Yeah, the whole Aaron clan is really good at not using leaderships. I'm impressed by it. They do
They don't
very
need
well
it.
without
They
using
don't need it.
leaderships.
They just use affiliations, and that's all.
Yeah.
The
It's
game
just
is
a-
only
it's just
balanced.
a loose group of people.
The
Like
game is
they
only
kind
balanced
of know
for
each other. Yeah.
them not using their leaderships.
Yeah.
If they were to use leaderships, the game would definitely go on its head.
hmm
But they do use tactics cards, and I use that quotation.
Whichever ones they want.
I totally
like
have
we have
mission
to-
objective.
We have to tell the story at least a little bit, Aaron.
Do whatever you
So
want.
now we've been referenced too many times at this point to just leave it out there. So Aaron and his son have built all these different lists, and they roll off randomly when they go to play. Aaron is claiming that his son took cards from the wrong section of the card box that were the tactics cards. So when he randomly determined his list and he played his criminal list, all of the tactics cards he was supposed to be using were missing. And so he's like, all right, well, I'll just have to grab some cards. And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, just do whatever and just let me know. And so he puts down these 4 tactics cards. I'm like, oh, do you need a card? He goes, no. And he like lists off the cards out loud that he's playing with. And I like looked down, I was like, you just listed 5, but you only have 4 cards. He's like, yeah, but I don't have the cards. I'm like, oh. It's like, what do you need? He's like, well, I'm missing like brace and some other stuff. I was like, oh, well, you can just borrow my brace until the game is over. And I took that to mean, it's like, all right, so we're ready to play. And then I realized later on that he meant that he has different tactics cards that were physically on the table. It's like, oh. And so I'm trying to remember what fucking cards he has. I totally forgot that he told me at some point that what card was it? It was, you had like advanced R&D and it was supposed to be mission objective. And so on the last turn of the game, he ends up mission objective me. And I'm like, that's not what that card does. I think you're confused. You should read it.
For people who did not know that he was like proxying cards and pretending they were cards,
yeah.
I walked up to the table and he just stone-faced, no inflection, no apology, just looks at Brandon and goes, I have mission objective. And
everyone
so
looks
all of
over
us
at the
went,
table.
why are you bullshitting? That's a weird thing to do. But you said it with such intense conviction, I thought, oh shit, where is mission objective? So I didn't say anything because I didn't want to be like, I didn't want to walk up to a table and say, you don't have mission objective, Aaron. And so, but the thing is, and so I was expecting.
Well, that's a weird thing to say to
giggle.
somebody in the middle of the game.
I was expecting him to start picking up models and saying you win or something like that. I just waited for intense, pregnant moments, waiting for Aaron to break, and he just never did. And Brandon just kept looking at him like, so I won? And we're just like, and so I walk over to Aaron's table and I look and he only has 3 tactics cards and they're just like random cards. I'm like,
well, also I realized later that like all of the cards he listed were restricted. Like he listed 5 restricted cards. It was just playing with 5 restricted cards. I didn't even think about it until later in the game. I'm like, wait a second. Like
the cards I put on the table were restricted. The ones I was actually I only played with 4. Those were not restricted.
Mm-hmm. They were all restricted.
Sure, in your mind.
The best part...
You used brace. That one's restricted for sure.
That is true.
The best part was the body language. How you were... Like, you looked at him like you were ready to die right
Well,
there.
I love it. Yeah, he's
like you were looking down the barrel of a gun and you said, kill me. I'd rather die than not play my fictional mission objective. Like, it's just like...
He planted the flag and it's like, this is where I live. But it was great because there was like 5 people over at that point because it was like the game was wrapping up and people had kind of been watching it. And so it's like the last activation of the game happens and then Aaron blanks out on his dodge roll and Black Cat dies while contesting a point and holding an objective. So it's like, oh, that's a big deal. And then he goes, I play mission objective and doesn't move. He doesn't pick power up off of cards. He doesn't move any of his cards. He says, I play mission objective.
Yeah.
And then we lock eyes and then like I kind of lean over and look at his tactics card area and everyone else does too. And there's obviously no mission objective over there. And then
we thought it was a gag. We were all sure it was
and we just kind of sit there for their 10 seconds. We go, so you don't have mission objective, right?
It's a perfect gag. He goes, oh no, I do. Great. And we're like, why is he so committed to this gag?
This is a really bad joke. Like, I don't think it's like the Borat doing the not joke. You're like, he just doesn't get it. Like, it's not going to work. All right.
It's a very difficult meta for us to get into.
Yeah.
I'm definitely playing mission objective
times.
now every game.
Regardless,
it costs you no slots or power, so it's actually quite good.
Yeah, I'm just gonna stare at my opponent and see what happens if I just stare directly at him. Yeah. I have mission objective.
My new plan is I'm not going to get out my tactics cards. I'm just going to tell them when I use them, which ones I'm using.
No. I don't think you need to go that far. I think you just need to stare directly at your opponent and see how long it'll take them to challenge you if you just say I have mission objective.
Yeah.
I think whenever we get the shirts made, that's definitely the quote.
I have mission. Oh, wait. Hold on.
I have mission objective.
I have mission objective.
Hold on. Where's my shirt tagline list? I have a whole list of these.
to be fair, Aaron, I in no way think you were wrong in any of that. It was just so strange. The moment was just so odd because it was set up perfectly to be a gag, but it wasn't.
It did seem like a joke.
That's why it was so awesome. Is because
like,
I don't think you
ooh,
did
I
anything
have
wrong
Mirror
to
Universe.
say
Sorry.
I'm proxying some cards because my son is playing with the other cards. Like there's
Mhm.
nothing wrong with that. But it was just so funny that you stare directly at him. I play mission objective, and you move no muscles. I'm just like,
It was the last activation of the game. Like, what am I gonna
I know. It was the
Yeah.
perfect
It was
situation.
because I won.
do?
There was a perfectly reasonable explanation for all of it, but from an
Mhm.
outside observer, it just looked like you were just gonna boldface lie and hope he just takes a loss.
That game was so weird too. Like that was one of the weirdest games I played in a long time. Because like
Yeah.
Magneto deploys on the far left side on Infinity Formula, gets ported by Red Skull, and then aim lackeys by MODOK, and then walks once and throws the entire planet at Killmonger, whoever the fuck was standing. It was,
Shadowlands.
Shadowlands Daredevil. He's like, all right, I throw this kiosk at Shadowlands Daredevil, who's at full health. He's like, I play Brace. He's like, cool, catch this garbage truck. And he's like, oh, okay. It's like, all right, now catch this car. And he's like, you still have power? like, what the fuck? I was like, yeah, he has 10 power. I was like, how do you have 10 power? I was like, reasons. It's just like, get ready to die, motherfucker.
Oh, because you fucking shot me for 6 goddamn dice.
That
Sorry.
helps,
Yeah.
especially when you have Master of Evil as your leadership.
Yeah. Now you spiked hard into your first.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was a weird, because you're like, oh, I should play fallback. It was like, wait, do I get to push you if you play fallback? It was just fucking weird. A lot of
Afterwards,
weird stuff happened.
Afterwards, when you're breaking down the game to see what could have happened wrong, you were like, okay, so Magneto started here,
Mhm.
and then you pointed 4 feet away, and then he was here at one point. At
And
the
then
end
he
of his
came back.
activation, he was also here, and you pointed like 2 feet up. I'm like, how is he moving that fast? Like, well, I use these 5 tactics cards. That you know, like, what are you talking about? How did you do?
Tactical analysis, climbing gear, extreme maneuvers, like I got all of them.
Sit
Yeah,
rep.
I was just like, wow,
Yeah, sit rep.
you did end up like he literally, without a portal or anything to help him, crossed like a ridiculous amount of
Hmm.
space for Magneto.
Yeah.
There's no way he should do that.
No, yeah, he started on the left point, went to the right, went to the forward point, and then came back to the left. It was crazy. And he was staggered one round. It was very weird.
Well, he had mission objective. I don't know if you heard him say that.
Yeah, but doesn't
Well-
none of that matters
Yeah.
because I have mission objective.
I'm not contesting that he had mission objective. My contested point is he had 5 restricted cards and 9 tactics cards. That was my contested point.
He rolled for that, and he got that.
Yeah,
So,
he got it. What's the problem?
I think yeah, he rolled for that.
Let's see here. 9 tactics cards. That seems good. Number
Yeah.
of restricted cards. 3 dice. All right, here we go.
5.
Mind if I proxy 9 of these?
Aaron does random roll D&D style list building where he might roll really hot on tactics and you're just fucked because he gets all of them.
I think he just got confused and thought he was playing Blood Bowl, and he's like, these are my inducements. I have 9 tactics cards.
Your list looks better than mine. I get more than you.
Yeah, I'm just going to take stuff that I'm not allowed to have. That's fine. All right, let's get out of here. I'm getting tired.
Me too.
Goodbye, everyone. Goodbye.
Later.
Later.